97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, last night was a holiday, schedule release day. I'm sure everybody looked at the schedule, circled the games they want to go to, circled the games that they're very excited for. I have a very difficult task that I'm going to try to do today. I'll explain that coming up in a little bit. We have a great conversation on hand about expectations and how that may help or hurt your enjoyment of a season. The Phillies, my God, they just keep on rolling. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you.
What a beautiful day today, man.
Oh, it was nice this morning. Windows down a little bit.
Oh, are you talking about the weather?
Nice. Yeah, I'm just feeling good.
I'm talking about W's and L's Day, baby. We made it. We have made it to W's and L's Day. What's your record?
I haven't done my homework, and that's something that I usually always did. I did not do my homework. No.
So I didn't even tell you. You know, we don't do the show before the show, but we prep, right?
We prep, right.
We know what our main topic is today, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes. But and we're going to talk about the Phillies because the Phillies are just on fire. They beat the Mets again last night. They put up a 10 spot. Incredible.
You better, because shame on us. We did, yesterday.
I roll my eyes. But I have a very difficult task today. I am going, Connor, I didn't even tell you about this.
A difficult task.
I am going to try and get John's W's and L's throughout the course of the show without doing the W's and L's segment.
Ooh, okay. Good luck.
That is I do have cash in the envelope, in the wallet that says you won't be able to succeed, but that's good.
I have traps in this show today to try to get a win or a loss out of John Kincade about specific games throughout the schedule. I might not go in order.
Oh, that's good.
I might throw things randomly at you.
I like challenges.
I'm going to pick your brain about games that you're looking forward to and not looking forward to, and I'm going to try to judge off of it.
Oh, whoa. Then you're going to be surmising.
But from now until 10 o'clock, Connor, I am going to get John Kincade's win-loss record for the Philadelphia Eagles on the day after schedule release day.
What do you feel, Connor, are his odds to be able to get that? I know you're an oddsman.
Yeah, he's plus 450 right now.
Plus 450. Yeah, I'd say
I go even money.
You're shooting for a 17-leg parlay, buddy. I know you've hit 18 before.
I do. I've hit them before, man. I've hit them before.
Look, one thing I know about Jonas is he's up for a challenge.
I always am, man.
He loves a challenge.
I'm ready to go. So I'm going to try to get your win-loss record by the end of the show today without doing the old radio segment of win or loss.
Good.
All right?
Okay, I like that.
All right, but that's not...
Because it is the laziest sports radio there is. Next to Mount Rushmore's, it is the laziest sports radio there is.
That's tomorrow's show. You just wait.
Geez.
All right.
Save that for vacation.
So today's main topic, this is a fascinating thing. How long have you been doing sports radio?
Around 30 years.
Have you ever redone a topic at some point that you yourself did?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to.
But what's great about it is you can redo a topic, but the moving parts are different.
Yes, absolutely.
So the outcome of the same conversation can be different.
Right. And then there's also the days like, man, when the Eagles were the only talking point in town. I know you were in the ATL at this point, but I'm sure you were listening. The Phillies sucked. The Flyers sucked. The Sixers are in a process. The only team that you were really paying attention to as a rebuilding team was the Eagles, and that was drafting Carson Wentz. And before Carson Wentz, it was the Marcus Mariota draft. We talked about Marcus Mariota every single day.
Do the deal, baby.
Did you
fall on that? Where did you fall on that?
I was intrigued by it because of the Chip Kelly, Marcus Mariota thing, but I wasn't like, this needs to happen.
Good.
You know,
then you and I would have gotten along very well.
I was just intrigued.
I was intrigued, but I did not want to be trade the farm away.
Right, exactly.
To go get Marcus Mariota, who I didn't believe was going to be a great NFL quarterback. I thought he'd be a hell of a lot better than he ended up being.
Exactly.
I didn't think he'd quit on 2 franchises, but he has.
But when you do sports talk radio, sometimes you revisit a topic, sometimes you redo a topic. To your point, sometimes the result changes, so then you revisit something and it's a totally different thing. But sometimes during our post-show meeting, you pitch a topic and I go, holy hell, dude, I did that topic not even a year ago.
And the question will be, will it come out a little different way?
It might not.
Like, does it change, a thing? And so when you present the topic, people will say, oh, okay, I've heard it before, but have I?
Well, people may not have heard before, because I did this on the midday show with Ray. Totally different show, totally different time slot,
vibe,
totally different voices, totally different vibe. And Ray Dunn's a vibes-man, right? We know that. So John comes up to me yesterday. He goes, hey, I have a topic idea for tomorrow. And the topic that you pitched was something I remember doing after the Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The question is, do high expectations of a team help or hurt your enjoyment of a season, of the regular season? For me, it helps.
I'm fascinated that we have people in our listening audience who, like right now, I'm not there yet, but I'm approaching Getty stage with the Phillies.
Okay.
I am so enjoying.
I'm surprised that you're not there yet.
No, because
every night is a holiday at this point.
It's a cautious, right now, it is a cautious just, oh my God, this team is truly incredible. At one point last night, I texted you and Connor, and I said, is this team a wagon or a juggernaut, Connor? Because I've heard you use both words.
Yeah.
And he said, they're both. And honestly, I'm getting to that point where I say, wow, this Phillies team is so enjoyable and so exciting that I can't imagine that anything will be better than watching them this summer.
Right, because every single night you're basically expecting a win at this point, and if they don't win, you're still expecting something crazy to happen. And
right.
I mean, we're starting to see Bryce Harper heat up. You've been hearing that promo from Larry Bowa running on the station when he was on with us the other day, talking about how Bryce Harper isn't even hot yet.
The prophetic.
And he's starting to heat up now, and that's going to be something that's a joy to watch every single day. But the question is whether or not high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of the season. And the reason why I had this topic after the Chiefs game was it was another win for the Eagles. But what did we do? We were talking about how, oh, my God, Marquez Valdes-Scantling almost scored a touchdown at the end.
Sure.
They could have lost that game. The offense didn't do anything in the first half. This has been something that we've been seeing all season long. And I sat back and went, wait a minute. They're 10-1. But we look for every crack in the armor. We look for every single crack in the armor of the Eagles, or in this case, the Phillies this year, that will tell us why the Eagles will not win the Super Bowl, why the Phillies will not win the World Series. That's what it is. When there are high expectations, I think people try to still bring themselves down. I heard the best show ever yesterday. I was listening to the best show ever, and they had a caller on, and they were trying to ask the question, why are you so worried about the past in terms of this team? And a caller goes, well, that's just Philadelphia. Because our teams just don't win.
I hate that talking point so badly. And honestly, again, having been a Philadelphia sports fan my entire life, who then had to live as an expatriate out of town and still enjoy my teams at a fever pitch, I would look at fans where I lived going, you guys are spoiled. And I'd say, not to hear Philadelphia fans tell it.
Right.
They're miserable. They're miserable about, man, we're tortured. And they're like, tortured? Are you kidding me? They're not tortured at all. Like, to me, it is I will look at joy. I look at the Eagles' schedule, not giving anything away, but I look at it and I'm joyous. I love the schedule.
Right.
I look at the Phillies season. I am joyous. I love it. Last year's Eagles season, I was absolutely concerned saying, when are they going to turn it to start showing us that they are the 2022 version?
Right.
And I thought for sure it was going to happen. I kept saying week after week, well, we know they're going to round into shape. Little did I know what
So you thought that they would. So you were still enjoying yourself.
Right, absolutely.
Because I remember talking to people that were miserable. They were acting as if they were 1-10.
Well, that's so
right.
stupid.
Even though they were 10-1 and they were finding ways to win, and that's what good teams do. Even in ugly games, they find ways to win. You were just talking before the show how last night's Phillies win they probably lose that game in the last couple of years.
I believe the last 2 years, if that game starts like that, I saw that script and I saw the Phillies lose.
Right.
Last night, I saw the Phillies just go, oh, well, we can just turn on the offense and we'll make up for us this mistake. Like, they made up for like 5 mistakes last night.
They did, and they still won, and they won handedly.
They were blowing them away.
They put up a 10 spot. But that's what we do. That's what a lot of, I will say, Philadelphia fans do. And it always kind of goes back to that Negadelphia thing. Even though when things are going great, you're always looking for that little crack in the armor. Johan Rojas drops a fly ball yesterday, and everybody talks about how they have to start looking for center fielders at the trade deadline. Like, it's amazing. The Phillies are 31-13, and people are looking at, all right, that's the weak link, that's the weak link. Instead of saying, wow, that's the strength of the Phillies team. That's why they're going to get to the World Series. Hey, the Eagles are 10-1. Yeah, it's been ugly games, but they're beating the Chiefs. They're beating the Bills. They're beating the Dolphins. That's why they're going to get to the Super Bowl. Instead, it's, oh, man, that's why they're going to fall apart. That's why this team is fake. But that's what a lot of people do, and that's because of high expectations. So we would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975, phone line or text line. Do high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of the season? For me, it helps. It skyrockets it. You know why? I have high expectations because my team's good. And if my team is good, that means odds are I'm enjoying myself more often than not.
But I also think part of it with you, we have the same exact feeling about it.
Yes,
But
which is odd.
But part of it with you is I believe you are 15-year-old Andrew trapped in 30-year-old Andrew's body.
With a 45 or 60-year-old brain.
Yes, you are a young kid fan, energy, excitement, dreaming big, trapped in your body. For me, it's, Dan, I have seen so much bad in my life.
Right.
I am going to freaking celebrate it when it's great. I'm going to celebrate it when it's great. I'm not going to worry about that the floor is going to fall out from under me because I have seen so many crappy seasons. I better sure celebrate the great ones.
Well, then why? And I think it's more your generation. And
Okay.
I hate doing the generation thing.
See, I don't think you can discuss Philly sports with the fans and not do it.
But I do believe it's more your generation that is waiting for the floor to fall out.
No question it is. And no question, even though, well, there's some where I think it's a little bit different by generational. But overall, the woe is me, we've had it bad, oh my gosh. It's strange to me because those people in my generation will say that. And then they're the same people who will celebrate Buddy Ryan.
Right.
They're the same people who will try to convince you and your generation, boy, this Buddy Ryan era was great. I think it sucked. I saw great players get wasted.
Right, absolutely.
Absolutely wasted by a buffoon of a head coach. And people celebrated like there was nothing better than the Buddy Ryan era. It was because things were so crappy before he got here that anything tasted good.
Connor Thomas.
Hello.
Hi, Connor.
Do high expectations for the teams help or hurt your enjoyment of the regular season?
I think you guys both already know the answer
helps.
from me. Oh, it very much helps.
Because you like winning. You just like winning.
Dude, I love to win. There's nothing I love more than winning.
He's another one, though. You're another one that when things are good, I didn't know 14-year-old Connor, but I met him. I've met him a lot of times. I think you have that same just young kid's enthusiasm for this is so freaking awesome. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
But that's also the nature of how we've come up with Philadelphia sports. We've had a lot more good than bad, Andy and I have.
Yes,
We've been
absolutely.
lucky. So when I see this, I think of the good. I think of the possibilities. I think of what this opens the door to. This isn't just like, and specifically talking about this Philly season, this isn't just, oh, they had a hot start. I think, wow, where did they go in 2022 when they started off like crap? They went to the World Series. Last year, they stunk for the first month and a half. They went to the NLCS. This year, this start, the sky is the limit, and I get excited about that. And I'm not going to let my whole summer go by waiting for October.
And that's a big problem with that a lot of people have. It's the wake me up when mentality. And I asked this question. I remember asking this question at some point during spring training if the Phillies if a lot of Phillies fans would have that mentality this season. And a lot of people do. The wake me up when. Now, I do believe a historic start like this kind of puts that to the side because they won the most games in franchise history in the month of April. I think when the Phillies are winning at this clip, it does put that to the side. But I'm sure at some point somebody's going to say, wake me up when. And I ask that question because I remember when Joel Embiid dropped 70 points, there were a lot of people that said, okay, well, tell me when he does that in the second round. Tell me when he does that in the Eastern Conference Finals if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that drove me nuts because it was a 70-point performance, but I understood where people were coming from, kind of.
Well, I got to tell you, I understood. And I remember you doing that show that day. I think people are at the point where I absolutely am. I applauded the 70-point effort. I was glad I got to see it. I'm like, that's awesome.
It's amazing. It was
what an
historic.
amazing thing. But I also said, I'm not celebrating regular season individual accomplishments.
So there's a point.
Yeah, because individual accomplishments to me, when it comes to the Sixers, mean nothing.
Okay.
We talked about it.
Right.
The MVP for Embiid. People being like, man, I'm so thrilled he won MVP. I'm happy for Joel that he won it. It does nothing for me as a fan.
So to you, there is a point where you do where maybe the expectations do bother you a little bit because it's the same thing year in and year out.
Absolutely. And the thing is, my expectations, the Sixers have changed my expectations. The Phillies have not. The Sixers.
We're still talking World Series, baby.
The Sixers' ineptitude over the years has changed my expectations, whereas for the Phillies, no, I still believe that the beating the Braves 2 years in a row has just given me so much in my head that this team doesn't give a damn.
Right.
They are clutch. They are calm in big moments. I feel great about their chances. The exact opposite of how I feel about the Sixers.
It helps that your game one starter in those series against the Braves is Ranger Suarez, who's cool and calm as collected as could be. He goes out there, pitches 5 shutout innings again yesterday for the Titans.
Oh my gosh!
So the
5 unearned.
5 unearned because of what happened early on in the game.
By the way, what did you think about it? The unearned.
What, the Rojas drop?
Yeah.
You got to make that catch.
You got to make that catch.
Yeah,
you
dude,
have to make that. No, but what did you
catch.
think about the play? Because Connor says, he thinks something got in his eye.
Well, look, a line drive like that is whether the lights, like a line drive like that is a very hard play to make. But Johan Rojas has talked about as this elite center, so he's got to make that play.
He laughed afterwards, and I think that was pissing people off on social media that he laughed.
Yeah.
I think he laughed because he's like, what he wanted to do. Right, exactly.
Well,
that's what I said.
It's like the McNabb thing, right? The laughing, my bad thing. Like, people got tired of that. People don't like seeing that,
because
man.
McNabb would do it in the fourth quarter of a tie game. Rojas did in the first inning of a game they won by 5.
But so on this NFL schedule release day after, I'm going to try to get John Kincaid's wins and losses. I'm going to put him in traps throughout the entire show to try to figure out whether or not he has the Eagles winning certain games and losing certain games. But our main jumping off point today that we would love to hear from you on the phone line and the text line at 610-632-0975 is whether or not high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of a regular season. Now, this is stemming off of last night for the Phillies. The Phillies get another incredible win, but this can be talked about every single team, right? Like, this could be talked about the Sixers. The Sixers could win 50 games, but people always talk about the expectations. They don't care anymore. When it comes to the Eagles, last year, they were 10-1, but people were looking for every single crack in the armor. I think people still do that with the Phillies. What's been the main top talking point for the people that aren't excited about the Phillies? Well, wake me up when they beat a good team. Right? People still always try to find the negative no matter what. It always goes back to the roots of Negadelphian.
Everybody in baseball plays the same schedule.
Yes.
So if you're going to sit and complain about it, will all come out in the end. Every single team. The Braves are going to get the same tomato cans that they've got. By the way, there's 5 teams over 500 in the NL just the other day. I mean, it's like... So everybody is playing crap teams in this entire league.
Right, absolutely.
So I mean, just like chill out on can you not enjoy it? Can you not enjoy a great baseball team and have fun with it? I don't understand.
That's the thing. I mean, this reminds me of 2011, where you were just happy to put the Phillies on every single night, and if they lost, you went, they'll win the next game, right? Like that's
how did you feel though? That team was on the down escalator.
No,
even though they had the upstanding regular season. They were on the 2008 win the World Series, 2009 lose the World Series, 2010 losing the NLCS.
But I thought 2011 was going back up.
But I mean, it had been 3 steps down in a row.
This team's doing the same thing. I mean, World Series, NLCS,
3 in a row. You got to go. Yeah, but you can't. The first one can't be the down. So they've only had one down year on that escalator. That team had stepped down.
Man, I thought 2011 was the best team I ever saw in my life.
I did too, but I had concerns about that team.
Did you really?
I really did.
All right.
I had concerns about that team because I didn't like the idea of building a team around, okay, we're just going to load up on starting pitching. I had seen it in Atlanta not work so many times. I didn't like the mentality. They were trying to copy the Braves.
Interesting. All right, well, coming up next, we will take a look at the schedule.
We'll look at it.
We're not going to do W's and L's.
No, we ain't.
We're going to discuss the games we're most looking forward to see and the game we are least looking forward to see. All right, I actually did a post for 975thefanatic.com. I rated 1 through 17.
Look at you.
That's how much of a loser I was.
Sounds like
yesterday.
a listicle to me.
Oh, what? Andrew, what do you do when Cooper goes to bed? Like, do you and your wife watch a TV show? Do they hang out? No, I do digital content for the Beasley Media Group, baby. That's what I do. Check out 975thefanatic.com. So the game that you're looking forward to the most and least looking forward to right now after the schedule was released last night. And start sending in your text now about those questions, because I want to try to get a tally at the end of the show. The game we are collectively looking forward to the most and least looking forward to the most. You can text it at 610-632-0975. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Salciunas here on this beautiful Thursday morning. The day after the Eagles and all NFL schedules were released last night. The Phillies with another incredible win. They beat the Mets 10-5. We'll be reacting to that all day long. And our main topic today, do high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of a season? We'd love to get some answers on that on the phone line and the text line, 610-632-0975. And again, it's funny, when John pitched that topic yesterday after the show, I immediately said, yeah, I love this topic because I remember doing it after the Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and a lot of people were trying to find the cracks in the armor of the Eagles because it was another ugly win. And I go, man, just freaking enjoy yourself. And it hit me that it was because we were talking Super Bowl since the Super Bowl ended the previous year. That had a lot to do with it.
There was nothing else that was going to satisfy our thirst last
other than the Super Bowl, yeah. You're right.
And I think that's part of it. And I wonder, though, are people going to get there with this Phillies team?
I'm sure there are people that are already there, and that's why you hear the schedule thing. That's why you, like, I'm sure there's somebody out there going, yeah, I love that they beat the Mets because bleep the Mets. I hate the Mets, but the Mets aren't the team they were a couple of years ago. This is just another win against the easy. You know you're going to hear that at some point.
You know what? You know what the 2022 and 2023 Philadelphia Phillies did? They putzed around playing the Mets.
Yeah, you gave us the numbers yesterday.
They were just mediocre against the Mets. They were mediocre against teams they should have been good against.
Yeah.
Mediocre against the Marlins, mediocre against the Mets. And that they lost the season series to the Marlins last year and then beat them in the playoffs. They're not doing that this year. They're taking care of business. There is reason to say, okay, that's different. That looks different. And the way the way this team makes up for its own mistakes. And by the way, the base running last night, again, freaking horrendous. I have no idea what Nick Castellanos
horrendous
is
base
even
running,
thinking.
And yet they still scored 10 runs. It's amazing,
I don't. But the thing is, though, I always say to myself when I'm watching that, I go, at some point, that's going to screw you.
It could.
At some point,
absolutely,
when you're playing good teams, you can't do that. But I think they are just on such a roll. I'll never understand how this team runs the bases, though.
No,
I'll never understand how they never get better at it.
But I want to credit something you said a couple weeks ago, going back to this, people not celebrating the Phillies 31-13 start. If they were around 500 like they have been in the last couple of years, people would be freaking out.
No, and we brought it up yesterday. They were a game under 500 each of the last 2 years when we woke up yesterday.
Yeah.
And people were at that point, you were feeling, okay, we're sticking our hand out of the grave. We're digging out of the early hole. A third of the season, we're digging out of playing like crap. Whereas this year, they're rolling. They're rampaging.
They have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 31-13, and yet people try to take that away from them. And I wonder
the Braves lost last night.
Right, they did, finally.
Which is nice.
And I wonder if part of it is the topic that we're talking about today, whether or not high expectations for your teams help or hurt your enjoyment of the season. If it hurts your enjoyment of the season, why is it? Is it because of past failures? I heard a caller talking about that on the best show ever yesterday. Is it just because you're looking for every crack in the armor for why they won't win a World Series or a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup or an NBA championship? Let us know, 610-632-0975. But we're also going to have fun all day today reacting to the NFL schedule release yesterday. We now know exactly when the Eagles are playing their respective opponents. We already knew who they were going to be playing, home and away, but now we know the schedule and the breakdown. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I have a very difficult task today.
You do.
We will not do the W's and L's segment or the W's and L's show. But I will set John up with traps to try to get the wins and losses out of him.
What are you, the Joker and the Riddler?
Let me ask you real quick. Do you have a win-loss record?
I do not.
So you don't even have one?
No, but I have big thoughts about it.
Okay.
The schedule, but I do not have wins and losses.
All right, so by the end of the show, if I have a record, I want you to then, for me, just placate to my wishes.
Okay.
Let me know if that's exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I could come up with a number that I would think in my head by the end of the show.
Okay.
I can tell you, just in initial reaction, I feel good.
Oh,
I feel good about the way the schedule. This schedule had a chance to break poorly. I think it broke extremely well.
Well, and the beauty is there's no G word this year.
And that
Gauntlet.
is it's a huge word because I said it. I wrote a piece for the Fanatic website, much like you. I write mine earlier in the day. You write yours a little later.
It's with my whiskey or my other.
After you put a kid to bed. I don't have a kid to put to bed.
Look, sometimes I need a little extra help to get my mind creative.
Yeah, I just look at it as my first thing is when I see my schedule of my team come out, if I say that there's a gauntlet, it's a bad schedule.
Yeah, and that's what we saw last year.
And there's no gauntlet.
And look, they were 10-1 before they reached the gauntlet.
Right. And
No,
there's no
G
gauntlet.
word this year. All right, so let me ask you this first question based off of the schedule release, and I don't even know if this is a trap, but I'm just going to ask you.
I don't know. I've got my utility belt.
What is the game, and Connor, I want your input on this as well. What is the game that you are most looking forward to and least looking forward to this season? I have my answers, but I'll let you go first.
At the Bengals the last Sunday in October.
So that's the game that you're most looking forward to.
Yes, because
Now-
I have I'm fascinated by Joe Burrow.
Oh, dude, me too.
I think Joe Burrow is I think he has the potential to be a great NFL quarterback. And to me, I would love to see that.
Okay. And what is the game? You said this yesterday that it was the Bengals. Had anything to do with the time and place?
Oh no, I like it even more the way it works out. I love the way it works out.
Okay. Now, what's the game you're least looking forward to?
This the December. Well, no, if you're talking about least looking forward to, as far as you mean, phrase this correctly, as far as just so I understand it. Are you talking about the biggest game that I'm anxious about, like I think it's not a good spot, or is it the game I'm least looking forward to seeing?
I said whatever your answer might be.
Okay, well, mine would be December 8th versus the Panthers then, because I would take it as I think the Panthers are going to absolutely suck, and I think the Eagles might need a breather at that point.
Okay. Connor,
playing them in December.
game you're most looking forward to, I believe, is the opposite of John's.
Yeah, I'm looking for week 13 at the Ravens. That's the one I'm most
Oh, I thought you were
going to
say Panthers because you want the win.
Like, when I see how the schedule breaks out, I agree with John entirely. This is a really favorable schedule with the way they set these games for the Birds. So I'm looking at the game that will be most enjoyable. And week 13 against the Ravens, that game's going to matter. Those teams should be firing on all cylinders. Like, that's going to be a huge game, I think, in the NFL landscape.
There will be a post on
gonna be a huge
97.5thefanatic.com, and I will tell you that was number 2 for me for that exact reason, too. Well, number 1 was I have family in Baltimore that's rabid Ravens fans. Big Lithuanian community in Baltimore.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
So, look, the 95 trip, the Philly Lithos versus the Baltimore Lithos is a pretty big deal. But also the week 13, that means it's going to, that's deep into the season. That game means something. And, it's going to be dark come halftime in Baltimore, right? One of them is going to be probably wearing the blackout jerseys, probably Baltimore. It's going to look really cool. So that is something that I'm looking forward to watching.
Is that a game that you would – I have it as my number 1 target that they could flex it.
Oh, could be.
Remember, that could be a flex game.
Yeah.
And now there's the new rules that they could be flexed like Monday
Twice.
night. And
They can be flexed twice, too.
yeah.
You can each team. So I look at that game going, yeah, it's supposed to be 425. I could see that being
It could be. That's a great point. Now, what's the game that you're least look forward to watching, Connor?
Week 4, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Why?
Because the Eagles can start out 3-0, and they could beat the Packers, the Falcons, and the Saints by a combined 80 points. But if you go out and struggle against the Buccaneers, people are going to soil themselves thinking this team's going to fall apart like last year's team.
Interesting.
That's an interesting way to look. That's an interesting way to look at it.
I didn't think about that at all.
I did not.
If Baker Mayfield torches this defense, get ready for a long
You know
week
what?
at the
I
office.
have it very low on my list, and it's more so because I don't want to hear the talking points about how the Buccaneers beat the Eagles in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
When that playoff game was not real. It wasn't.
Explain not real.
The Eagles were not a real football team last year.
Okay.
That dude, that
You
game.
sound like that lady on the plane.
Yeah, you're not real. That playoff game was basically week 19, and the Eagles didn't make the playoffs. They packed their golf bags up. They knew the season was over.
Okay.
That was basically the final an extra regular season game for the Eagles.
I never felt less juice going into
I know.
the game.
I do. You and I were
We
together
down in
at
Washington.
Barnaby's.
We were down there in Westchester in the borough. And
It was dead.
It was dead.
The place was packed because it's a great spot.
but it was dead.
the place was dead.
No, the energy was dead.
All right, the game that I'm most looking forward to,
Is?
and I know this sounds chalky, but you'll understand why. It's Week 17 Eagles-Cowboys.
Yep.
But there's a reason why.
Okay.
What was the prediction I made last week? The very chesty prediction that I made.
That it would be 2 to 3 game victory in the division. Eagles win the division at the end by 2
Comfortably.
or 3 games.
That game might be the one that wins it. If you're up 2 and you lose, all right, you only have a 1-game lead and week 18 matters. You win that game, you're up 3. Great, and it's at home.
The only thing is, if you're up by, if the division race is tight going into that week 17 game, I'm not sure that's a comfortable division win.
Well,
if that game still matters to Dallas, then you didn't win the division comfortably.
Okay.
You won the division
but
in week 17.
if you have a 2-game lead.
How about you clinch that day?
Well, yeah,
So
if you win,
2,
you're up 3.
You're up 2 and you go up 3.
Yeah.
Your prediction
That's
will be
comfortable.
Your prediction is right.
And that's
if
why
that happens.
that is the game that I'm most looking forward to. The game that I'm least looking forward to, and I'm surprised you guys don't have this answer. It should be everybody's answer. And
What is?
There's no debating it. Week 7 at MetLife.
Why are you least looking forward to that one?
Because somebody's going to die. Like, so there's going to be a player
That's
whose
true.
leg will blow up. Dude, you know what's not talked about much at all? Probably because people...
Is your fear of MetLife?
Dude, I literally had a whole show about how I wanted the Eagles to not play anybody in that final week of the regular season because of
remember.
that field.
Well, none
And
of them
what
showed up
happens-
to play anyway,
Good
so
point.
that's cool.
But what happened? Sidney Brown, done for the year and will miss time this season. A.J. Brown never came back. That field is just a disaster waiting to happen. And
I got
week
you.
7, whenever they play them, week 7, 10, 11,
That's
18.
an odd statement, but it makes sense.
It makes total sense. That will be my answer every single year. When I do the exact same content post next year, it's the exact same answer. Spoiler alert. All right, so we would love to hear from you guys. 610-632-0975. I know the text line is already getting pretty busy. When it comes to the seasons, high expectations, does that help or hurt your enjoyment of a regular season? And I know nothing's a lock, but what is the lock win on the schedule? We'll get to that next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This week in Philadelphia sports is a big one as Eagles fans await the release of the 2024 Bird schedule, which will happen Wednesday night. Plus, the Phillies have a big week with a 4-game series against the New York Mets. And we're keeping an eye on the Sixers as they're already...
97.5, The Fanatic.
We're all smiles this morning.
Look, the
I mean, it
Phillies
is
win
smiles.
10-5. The NFL schedule is released. The Eagles' schedule is released, and it's favorable for the Eagles. Again,
I love it.
May 16th, so we don't know how it's going to play out, but it is favorable for the Eagles. I slept good last night. That always helps.
Did you?
Yeah, there's reasons to smile today.
A little bourbon, or was it something else?
No,
Was it
actually,
the Phillies?
sober.
Phillies put a smile on your
Speak
face.
for yourself.
Believe it or not, man. Well, we're gonna get into you a little bit because I know the whiskey may have been talking last night.
Maybe.
So we'll get to something that Connor
The whiskey whisperer,
that Connor
Connor
said.
Thomas.
You know what's amazing, John? You're amazing. You're a lunatic.
I'm a lunatic.
So I know you do a lot of Excel spreadsheets.
I do.
Do you know what this freaking guy does with the schedule?
What?
So
Connor doesn't know this one?
he goes, "Oh, Andrew, look, I want to show you something." So this guy's anti doing W's and L's on a show, right?
Totally.
Anti.
Oh, anti.
However, instead of just Googling Eagles schedule, Cowboys schedule, he Excel spreadsheeted the Eagles' entire schedule and every team, not just in the NFC East, the NFC.
So, like, if someone's watching on our YouTube right now, I've already got the
guy's
grid
pro.
where
Yeah,
you can
this
go.
guy's insane.
Who
where you
are
can
you?
go, where you can go, and every division, so you can scroll it along and see every division. The only one I'm not completed is the NFC West.
Oh, you know what I
And
could do?
I am on the 49ers right now, and I will then have the whole schedule. I love to be able to glance in a discussion and say, okay, the Eagles are sitting there 4-1.
You can Google these
I
things.
just Googled
No, because
49ers
then I have to
schedule
Google.
and I have the whole thing
And you know
in
what you
front
have
of
to
me.
do? You then have to go, well, what about the Falcons? What about the
A
Cowboys?
second
What
Google.
about the No. I
John,
can just look
pay
at
per
I can
Google.
look at one sheet and be able
If
to
you
have
still have to scroll.
No, I can have
John,
it's
I
one
can hit
sheet.
Control T. That I don't know if you know this.
You're doing too
that
much.
opens a new tab on Google.
I don't need to open up multiple tabs to be able to do that. By
You
the
are
way,
weird.
whoever invents that, for a television will be great. It's one of the things that pissed me off. I did have one thing that pissed me off, only one thing, but I'll show you.
Oh, that's how we're
I'll save it.
starting the 7 o'clock hour.
I'll
'cause
save it.
He
It's only
says to
one
me
thing.
he says to me during the break, there is one thing that pissed me off about the schedule.
Only one thing.
Here's the thing. I think I'm with him.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
get into this in the 7 o'clock hour because
It's the only. I don't think it's going to be the same one, Connor, but you never know.
I have nothing to be upset about today. Like you said, we're all
There's
smiles
one
today.
thing that pissed me off yesterday on schedule release day,
All right.
which is a national holiday in my house.
Interesting.
Now,
So
today's Bridgerton Day for my wife, so she's going to be watching Bridgerton all
I don't
day.
celebrate.
Please.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't watch it either. Tom Verica, I'm sorry.
All right, so there's no such thing as a lock win or a lock loss in the NFL. We know that, right? I had that conversation.
There's no
with
such thing.
Shefty was very passionate about that yesterday when we were talking about the power rankings, right? How a team could be in the 20s and all of a sudden they're a top team in the NFL like the Houston Texans last year. But what's the closest thing to a lock win that you see on the schedule, John Kincade? The closest thing. I'm not saying you have to tell me that they're going to win this game. You can't tell me otherwise.
Closest thing to a lock win.
Yes.
Wow. Closest thing to a lock win would be 12-22 at the Commanders,
Okay. That's the closest thing to a lock win for you.
because I believe the Commanders by that point will have like 3 or 4 wins.
So I'm shocked you didn't say Panthers.
No, I think 12-22 at the Commanders. I think the Panthers have a better chance to be a year ahead of the Commanders on
Okay.
the curve. So I'm just going to say
I did not see much out of Bryce Young last year for me to
I liked
say that at all.
I liked him. I would not have made that choice if I was the Panthers. But
yeah,
it
you
would have
don't think they're kicking themselves after seeing what Stroud did in
Yeah,
year
but
one?
I got to tell you, the Stroud discussion to me was like 60-40.
Okay.
I'm not going to come out like I was 100% Stroud.
right, of
I
course.
was more like 60-40. I would have picked Stroud, but I would have been going,
So you saying the Eagles could lose to the Panthers?
no, I'm just telling you is that I believe they will be a better team than the Commodes.
Okay.
They will be a better team than the Commodes.
Falling into my trap.
Yeah, followed
Connor, what's the game that you like the most?
Dude, Bryce Young, Bryce Old, Bryce Harper. They're beating the crap out of the Panthers.
All right. Now the flip side.
Okay.
What's the closest thing to a lock loss that you see on this schedule? The
Ooh.
closest thing to a lock loss.
Okay, this is a good one. Closest thing to a lock loss.
Which I'll be honest is very, very hard to figure out.
I would say 12-1 at the Ravens.
12-1 at the Ravens. Connor?
I'm going to go with the one week 8 against the Bengals at the Bengals because that's a game after MetLife. I do agree with you.
Something's going to happen.
Someone's going to get banged up, and that's one of the few back-to-back away games.
See, you know what's funny? I was going to say Rams because
that game?
I wrote about this on my piece and actually we're going to do a segment on this. Like I'm very interested to see how the Eagles' new look secondary looks against that Rams wide receiver core. But then I just realized looking at the schedule, and again, the schedule's
deep
favorable.
in though.
10 days of rest.
10 days of rest because the Eagles played Thursday night the previous week.
And it's deep in.
Dude, this schedule
to me
is beneficial for the Eagles, man. It's amazing.
How many times last year were we talking about they're playing a team coming off a bye?
Well,
they're playing all these teams. They're playing all the it works. This schedule's much better.
Cowboys, 49ers, and then Seahawks. Didn't they all play on
all
three?
of them.
So that
All
gauntlet,
of them.
when they lost all three of those games, those three teams all played with extra rest.
There was an extra edge to the whole thing.
It's amazing, man. This schedule, maybe the schedule makers felt bad about what they did last year to the Eagles, screwing over their season. That's why they lost.
I wonder if that comes into it.
Maybe. All right, coming up next, we'll reset the show. I know we have text, so I'm sorry I want to get to it. The question is, when it comes to regular seasons, do high expectations for your team help or hurt your enjoyment of the season? We will start in the next segment getting some of those answers on the text line. You can call in as well at 610-632-0975. John is pissed off about something. God knows. I have no idea. So I'll find out what John is angry about when it comes to
Just
the
one
Eagles'
thing.
schedule. And Connor Thomas didn't tell us what, but he said the whiskey was talking last night, and he's going to make a statement about the Phillies. We have no idea what that statement is. We'll find out next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Salciunas. Happy Thursday morning. For those of you who are getting in your cars, getting ready to go to work, drive safely. I had two
Jerks?
Yeah. I won't say exactly what I said off the air, but it's the idea that some people may get the bigger trucks for reasons.
You know why they do. You know why they do.
They were running rampant this morning.
There's a deficiency somewhere.
Come on, man.
We got one on the block behind us.
Yeah,
The guy who definitely is compensating for something.
It's all good, man.
It's not for hauling lumber.
Well, it's not. It certainly isn't.
That's for sure.
Not with this one.
Come on, man. Just
Seriously.
get a normal car. All right, so I know we have a lot of texts coming in. If you're just tuning in, our main topic today, so we're reacting to the Eagles' schedule release. We are not doing W's and L's because John is anti. However,
I am absolutely anti it.
However, I am making him fall into traps, and at the end of the show, I will try to get a win-loss record out of him.
Well, you're getting some clues.
We're already 2-1, baby.
Not really, because I haven't given you wins.
We're already 2-1, baby.
You're out of your mind.
You're falling into my traps. So I'm going to try to get John to give me a win-loss record by the end of the show without going through the schedule, the old radio thing of W or L. So John's already fallen into a couple of my traps, and we'll get into that more as the show goes on. We have a statement from Connor Thomas this segment about the Phillies that was whiskey-driven last night, but he feels really good about the Phillies.
We need a whiskey sponsor for this.
Absolutely.
Oh, please. I don't think I could handle a whiskey sponsor.
It's like the Connor. We used to have Moscow Mule Fridays.
Is that right?
When I did afternoons in the South, we had Moscow Mule Fridays every single Friday.
Hosts are allowed to drink. The
because it was for
not.
No, it was for sponsors.
Oh, so you had to.
It was a sponsorship. We sold it.
You had to. So, Connor's statement. John is angry about something with his schedule that we'll get to this segment, but I do want to get to the text line. The conversation, the main jumping talking point today is whether or not high expectations for your teams help or hurt your enjoyment of the season. I think it hurts more people. I think the three of us are happy.
We're in a weird...
Right?
It's rare.
Where all three of us are on the same page.
All three of us feel exactly the same way on this.
But I think you all agree. The reason why we're happy is we have high expectations because our teams are good. So that makes my life more enjoyable. Instead of looking for every crack in the armor, I go, wow, this is why they're this record. This is why they have the best record in baseball. This is why they have the best record in the NFL. And sometimes it plays out in my favor. Sometimes it doesn't. Remember last year the Eagles had this thing called a gauntlet where they ended up collapsing and they finished the season 11-6 after going 10-1. So sometimes it does bite me in the rear end. But I can't live in fear.
They did better last year, by the way, in the gauntlet than they did in the easy part at the end.
Yeah, you're right, because they went 500 in the
everybody,
gauntlet.
because, if you had done... By the way, when people on this radio station, and YouTube is a beautiful thing, last year did the W and L sort of thing, they were like, oh, Giants is a win at the end of the year. Cardinals is a win at the end of the year. I'm not doing anyone particular voices, but it was like the W and L game.
I don't think I sound like that, but yes, I had W's.
Everybody was like, oh, it's a W. That's a W.
It should have been.
It should have been. But it's stupid to be picking W's and L's on May 16th.
However, I did have a 12-5 record, so I was one game away.
By the way, I had
didn't play out the way that
I had 12-5 also.
There you go.
And I can't believe how crazy it was.
Yeah, I thought my 12-5 record was going to be blown out of the water come week 12.
I bet the over 10.5 wins.
Oh, thank God.
Over 11.5 wins on my BetParks app. That one fell apart.
Yeah, that one did.
My NFC East champions that I thought was a lock.
That didn't happen.
That didn't hit.
No, it did not. It really didn't work well. That's heartbreaking. But I know we have texts coming in on this conversation. You can text into the show. You can also call in 610-632-0975. What do we got, Connor?
Yeah, so we have a check in here. No name on this one. But honestly, without enjoying things at the moment, how does one find themselves positively enjoy being a fan? Being happy in retrospect sucks the in-the-moment's joy out of it. So you have to enjoy seasons like the Phillies are having right now.
You have to.
I love that.
Or
I love
there's
that
no,
answer.
and I'll revisit a topic we had probably over a month ago now. Connor, you said you go into seasons like looking for wins or something like that.
Yeah, man.
No, he's for championships.
For championships,
Well,
sorry, for
yeah,
championships.
championships.
And my response to you is then you're a miserable person.
Nah.
Because you don't get much of that. Like, I can't go into every season watching just for a championship. Like, I want to go into a season for the storylines. I want to go into the season for, I know you're against individual awards, but like individual performances.
No, I'm not, and I'm not against individual awards. I'll celebrate. I'm glad Bryce Harper got an MVP.
Right.
It did nothing for me to look back and go, damn, I got to watch the MVP season for. Who cares?
Yeah, but this might shock
team.
you. I was the kid in gym class that would celebrate winning like the dumbest game in the
got you.
world.
Oh, that doesn't shock me in the least.
So I enjoyed the small wins. I just want the big win too. Like, that's
we
what I
all
hope.
do, but then we're going to be miserable if that's all we're watching for, though. Like, I'll go back to that. I think it was the MVP season when he hits the walk-off against the Cubs. That game meant nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Still remember it in your head.
I remember everything about it. I was there. That helped. But I remember everything about it, him sprinting around the bases in a season that ended up meaning nothing because they didn't make the playoffs. So, like, I can't, to that texter's point, yes, you have to enjoy the little things, especially during a regular season, because if you're only watching for championships, then, damn, we are a miserable city. What else do we have on the text line?
Yeah, we have a couple people checking in talking about the comparison to last year's Eagles season. And this year's Phillies season. So this person says, baseball is my first love. Love when the Phillies are rolling teams. Baseball is a marathon. Makes the summer so much better. But I think Andrew's merging things. The Eagles had cracks. People just didn't want to believe it. What's the Phillies' weakness right now?
Well, right now there
I got
is
a couple.
none, but I will tell you this. And
There's
I'll get
none?
well, okay, you're going to well, go ahead. You go first.
JT Realmuto is 33 with a soreness in his knee multiple times this season.
Okay.
That scares the hell out of me because you don't have a AAA caliber catcher that you've got to be able to play for 3-4 weeks.
I got you.
I disagree.
You know, he's not. He can.
You're telling me Garrett Stubbs is not AAA
He's
caliber?
barely. I mean, he's barely. What is he batting? 120.
If
Offensively,
Connor,
No,
he's not
you can't.
AAA.
Connor,
Connor.
if JT Realmuto,
They're
let's
screwed.
say he went on
A month. Let's say he
month
was
out.
out a month. You're screwed. You're
not screwed. What would the Phillies do?
They'd probably play 2 to 3 games over 500.
No.
No,
What
what
would
would they
they
do?
Well, they'd go get somebody.
They'd have to.
Yeah,
that
that's
tells
your,
you
that's
you're
your
deficient.
answer.
You're
That's
deficient.
your answer.
But-
They
but
themselves
dude,
would go after
Think about,
somebody.
like, listen, they've missed guys. They've had games where they've played. They give up lineup. They're rolling right
When
now.
they miss guys, Connor, when they miss other guys, they've got competent major league talent waiting to fill in, not the locker room DJ.
Yeah, my
That's what they don't. They have a competent major league player that would go, okay, I'll step in.
He's
it'll
solid
be okay.
defensively. He really is a
He's
solid
okay,
defensive
he's okay
catcher.
defensively. He's more than adequate.
Yeah, but we need to understand. I think we're getting too used to having JT Realmuto. Catchers don't do what he does.
Right. He does a lot, dude. He does.
does,
Like,
but-
look around baseball. There are not offensive catchers like JT Realmuto.
Right.
Garrett
no,
Stubbs
he's-
is good defensively. Ideally, that's a position that you get both out of. But in practice, catcher is a position that you normally have as a defensive thing. Remember the Carlos Ruiz stat that we brought up? The Tyrone said about
Right. What, he
the
hit
year they won?
218 or something like that.
Yeah, man. And Garrett Stubbs is worse than Carlos Ruiz.
Yes.
But
Yes.
my point is, you can survive that.
I got you.
I don't believe they. I believe it would be an immediate move to go get somebody.
Yeah, I
They
think
would,
so
and
too.
that would tell you exactly what they think of what Garrett Stubbs can be for.
Now, one other thing, and this is, again, I can't live in fear. At some point, the pitching staff will not have 4 Cy Young candidates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's unbelievable.
At some point, there's going to be a stretch where a guy's arm is sore or maybe he needs a week off. Like, that's going to happen. And I'm not going to live in fear, right? I'm going to keep watching every single night, expecting the incredible performance. But for a guy to say there's no cracks or anything, there's cracks in every baseball team.
Every team. Has
Every
got
team has cracks. Even the Atlanta Braves, who had the best record in baseball last
They
year,
absolutely did.
they ended up choking in the playoffs, right? Every team has cracks, and that's just something you have to expect. Because of that point, it's a marathon, not a sprint. All right, you have another text? We'll get one more, and then I got to find out what John's angry about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a check-in here from June from Yardley.
What's up, June?
Also saying can't really compare the Eagles with the Phillies with the high expectations. I think the 10-1 Eagles were a little bit of fool's gold. They were leaking water from day one. Meanwhile, the Phillies starting the way they are, I truly think they are a juggernaut.
That's the word
So
that
he
you
uses
use.
the juggernaut.
Look, they are juggernaut.
No, it's great. It's. I asked you last night. You want juggernaut or you want wagon? See, I like wagon because to me, there are a lot of people that need to climb on and stop acting like this.
See,
They need to stop. They need to stop.
term wagon's something else for me in my life.
Yeah, buddy.
They need to stop. To me, there are fans in this fan base that need to stop acting like
I got you.
Like, to me, there's nothing more annoying than the wet blanket when this team is so good.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Now, you can point.
It's just to be a contrarian. That's all I can
That's
think.
all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
Oh, the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
All right, so we'd love to hear from you guys. 610-632-0975. Do high expectations help or hurt your actual enjoyment of the season? Because I do know that there are a lot of people that look for cracks in the armor as the season goes on. Would love to hear from you. Now, John, you are angry about something with the schedule release. And I honestly don't. I have no idea where to go out with this.
Now, this is not an angry Ricky, so I'm not imposing on our friend Ricky Batalico's fine segment in the afternoons. But I've got to ask people, as a person in my 50s, I ask you, what part of operating your television do you not understand? And it's shocking to me because the younger audience of Eagle fans seems to be the ones that are complaining the most. Oh, my gosh, there's a game on Netflix, and then there's a game on Amazon, and then there's a game on Fox, and then I can't find the games. And I looked purposely last night at all the people that were complaining about, oh, my God, the NFL's so good. Look at all these different things. How are you going to find the games? First of all, when they're on Amazon, they'll be on a local channel.
Well, that's the thing that people don't realize.
You should know that by now.
Yes, I agree.
It's been quite a few years. You should know that the game will be on a local channel so it doesn't affect you. More importantly, I know you have these streaming services because you prattle on over and over again about what did you stream this week? What did you network TV sucks? So
you can't say that because you said the youth, right?
No, I'm telling you, for the youth.
Not many youth have money. That's a lot of streaming services.
I'm going to tell you right now that the youth is the ones that I'll see streaming. Network TV sucks. You got to watch this show on this vague show. I'm like, what show is it? I've never seen, but I'll look for it. I'll give it a shot.
And they're probably finding illegal streams.
And more importantly, too, is the idea that do you not know, like, where it was over again. I found, because I was playing Nerd Boy, as the Phillies game and just scrolling. Once they get up like 6-2, I'm going, okay. I found 27 responses at one point to people going, how do you find these games? I'm like, how do you find them? Really? Are you serious?
I got
you. How do you function in daily life if you can't find it? You talked about Google to be able to. It's really simple to find it. It's really simple to find the games. But more importantly, too, it's the idea is you're the same person who was rolling in this morning to buy a $6 cup of coffee at a drive-thru because you're too lazy to walk in.
This could not bother me less.
If you can't, stop whining about the freaking, it's on a streaming service. By the way, I love it. But I'm telling you this.
I don't love it.
The first company, because I think the streaming services pictures are better.
Okay.
I love the Apple TV baseball games. I have no problem with it. I do miss, I'll miss a T-Mac, being able to do it. But when I get to hear the audio of the Phillies broadcasters synced up, and the picture quality, much better on Apple TV. It's amazing. So to me, I enjoy new things. And that's very anti most people that have salt and pepper hair don't enjoy new things. I love new things. Maybe it's because I have a 20-year-old who constantly says, Dad, listen to this. She makes a playlist for me. Those kind of things. I like experiencing new things.
I think it is different with the NFL, though. So for those people complaining about, well, where am I going to be able to watch it?
How do I watch this game?
You can watch it locally. But then again, to the problem with baseball, if it's a Peacock-only game, it's Peacock-only.
It is.
There won't be an NBC 10 stream of the game.
No, it's not fun.
NFL's different.
It is different.
The people that are complaining may not realize
this was NFL.
Right, because baseball is different. So maybe they're still thinking about the baseball games. Look, the union, you can't watch the games unless you have an Apple subscription,
Apple TV.
Right? There's a lot of people that don't have the Apple subscription and can't watch the union games.
By the way, totally short-sighted decision by MLS.
But I think what people don't realize is that the NFL does have it on local network as well.
Always
I know.
You don't have to worry about Peacock for the opening game. You'll be able to get it on a local channel.
All right, real quick, what's your record against the NFC East opponents?
I'm not.
Why not?
I'm not falling for this one.
No, I think you.
How about this? You said
you said that they were going to split with the Cowboys. I remember you expect a split with the Cowboys.
Every year I expect to split with the Cowboys.
Okay. And then you already have them beating the Commanders at in D.C. So I imagine you're going to have them beating them at home.
Yeah. Commanders play very well at the Link. Very well. They beat them in 22. They lost in 23 only because AJ. I mean, it was a dumb decision. They could have lost that game on a 2-point conversion.
They could have, yeah.
So to me, no, I never penciled that in as a win.
If you were to lean.
If I was to lean, I'd probably lean that there is going to be a sweep of the Commodes this year. If I was to lean, but I never assume in the Washington that you're going to get that.
And they're going to sweep the Giants.
You can say that. I watched them poop themselves last year against the Giants.
Well, I mean, that was a totally different team. It's a new year, John.
There's a lot of same players. Sorry.
Big difference.
I'll ask this. Do you think they're resting guys week 18? They could lose that one. Week 18 against the Giants.
How about this? You suck. You absolutely suck. I absolutely believe they will be resting players week 18.
So there's a chance that they lose that game.
If you get that ticket for Christmas, if you get those tickets for Christmas, your mom and dad don't really like you.
Do you think the Eagles' backups are better than the non-motivated Giants starters?
Oh, truly, yes, because the Giants then are going to be looking to draft that quarterback.
Oh, so they could sweep.
They could. Yeah, I'm not penciling that one in, but I will pencil in the last game.
What I have here is a 5-1 record against the NFC East.
How about last game of the year? I'm going to go as close to guaranteeing that they'll be resting players. The Eagles will rest players. That's what I'll give you.
So I have a 5-1 record out of Johnny anti-W's and L's in the NFC East.
Could be.
Split with the Cowboys. He leans towards sweep with the Commanders. And the only reason why you might think they lose to the Giants is because they're resting their stars in Week 18.
Absolutely. So I can't pencil that in when wins and losses. And last year, the game still meant something to the Eagles, and they pooped themselves.
Yeah, I think it's a different team.
I'd like to think so.
All right.
I got to think the Giants are better, though, this year.
So do you think they might split?
I don't know. I mean, it could. Look, I'm not going to pencil it. How about this? They're not going worse than 4-2 in the division.
Okay.
They're not going worse.
I'll take that.
They're not going worse than 4-2, but I would probably say that, I would lean otherwise.
All right, 5-1. Connor.
Andy.
The whiskey was talking last night, apparently. What is your
statement? It was still talking this morning when he walked past
What is your statement about the Phillies?
So it's
don't be a coward. Say it on the air.
I'm going to, but it's not just that. Oh, I had a glass of whiskey last night and they hung 10 on the Mets. I was thinking about this yesterday, after the show. I think, and I know what people are going to say, that we're very early in the season. But I get a gut feeling on teams. John's known this from years in the past.
Yep.
I used to talk about Phillies teams, and I've never had one this good. And I'm not going to guarantee, they're winning the World Series. This team's unbeatable. It's too early for that. But I'm willing to say that talent-wise, this is the best Philadelphia Phillies baseball team that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Talent-wise.
Talent-wise.
Yes.
A lot of it's on paper, but they're also backing it up, so it's not like,
right.
I don't think that's a...
We've seen some good teams, Johnny.
I would think very well. Here's the thing: is that it's funny because we didn't all know each other. You guys were still in high school,
right?
I remember how much as a Phillies fan I did not like the four aces concept because I
think you're crazy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not because
insane.
I watched
Mr. Schedule.
No, because I watched and covered on a basis as a flagship station. 3 Hall of Famers in one rotation that stayed together forever.
Yeah.
And that decision to load up on starting pitching and to be it has never worked.
But
it has never worked.
Here's where I disagree with you when it comes to that. They loaded up on starting pitching when they already had a loaded up lineup. I mean, Rollins, Howard, and Utley were still there, and this is before
they were.
They did not. Utley was declining because of health.
Utley was declining.
But Howard, Ryan Howard hit 33 home runs that year, 116 RBI. Like he was still Ryan Howard.
He was still Ryan Howard. He wasn't Ryan Howard, I think, of 2 years earlier, but he was still Ryan.
He was still Ryan. It was the unfortunate moment against the Cardinals
that was at the
ended
end.
Everything.
Yes.
I will still say, Connor, even though I don't think you're far off, that 2011 is still the best team I've ever seen. And it's because I don't see a hole in that lineup.
Guess what? They're not.
They're not.
All right, I need you to hold on.
This team.
All right, expand on that coming up next. And I want people to react to that at 610-632-0975. Connor Thomas is saying that this Phillies team, in his lifetime, again, he's 30. For the 1980 people.
Yeah, please, let's not do that.
Connor Thomas is saying that this is the best Phillies team he has seen in his lifetime. I'm still going to say 2011, and there's a couple reasons why I will say 2011, but I don't think you're far off. So we would love to get your reaction to that. Also, the reaction to our initial topic, whether or not high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of seasons. You can call in or text in 610-632-0975, and we'll see if I can get another trap thrown toward John and try to get another
You are a
record
bit
from
of a
him.
jerk, though. It's the first time I've called you a jerk. I think you're getting there.
I've done pretty well so far.
You're doing all right.
I got 7 games.
You're
8
doing
games.
all
I
right.
got 7 games so far.
Pretty solid, Graham.
It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
30 on Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm trying to trap John Kincade into giving me his W's and L's. You just heard the promo for the Bob Cooney midday show coming your way at 10 o'clock, and he says he's not going to do W's and L's because he knows John Kincade would hate it so much.
Yeah, but he said he might, just because it'll just annoy me.
Well, I know. Look, this is the Kincade and Salciunas show, so I have to respect the wishes of the man I do the show with. So that's why we're not doing W's and L's today.
But I will say you were a bit of a pain in the backside because you have found a way to negotiate it through conversation, which to me, the way you're trying to do this, I got to tell you, if I wore hats, you don't do it when you have a head of hair like this. When you wear hats, tip of the hat to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I got you at 6 and 2 so far.
No, you don't. But
I do. I got you at 6 and 2.
It is interesting, though. Your tactics are very tactical.
The one question I have to ask, and I need you to give me an answer. All right?
All right.
Do it for me as a favor.
Do it for you.
So you have a split with the Cowboys.
I always assume
a split
with the Cowboys because Dak Prescott has owned the Eagles.
Is the loss in Dallas or in Philadelphia?
Absolutely would be in Dallas.
That's what I had. I jotted that down.
That
without you telling me that's what I wrote down.
And the only reason I say that is because I never really think of Dallas and the Eagles as needing home field either way. Like it's that big a deal.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
but
it's that big of a rivalry.
It's the placement of the game.
Right.
And where it is that
I totally get you.
I think it could be.
And we're standing in solidarity. You know that I think the Eagles win the division comfortably.
And I think the Birds will be the better team of the two. So I also think that when the better team of the two, when the lesser team has the first home game, it's desperation time.
I got you.
So that's where I'd go with that. So
and I think they clinched the division week 17 at home against the Dallas Cowboys.
That could very well be.
It's the game that I'm most looking forward to this season, and it's 17 weeks in the season. So I'm glad that there's a build-up.
I think it's awesome, too, because it's sort of a holiday week.
Yeah.
So the city will be...
Right, it's following Christmas, man. No Christmas game for us this year. Thank
I love
God.
that.
Dude, I will say this. I'm so happy. Last year, can I admit something to you guys?
What?
I didn't get to watch the game.
What are you talking about?
I didn't get to watch the Eagles game last year. I watched the second half, and then the next morning, I rewatched the entire game before coming to work. And the reason was I was cooking. I hosted like 15 people at Christmas. I had to cook. I'd rather the game not. I know everybody goes, oh, man, it's great, the holiday. Everybody gets together and watches the game. I was cooking.
Yeah, but whoa. You were cooking at 8 o'clock at night?
No, the game was at like 4 something, wasn't it?
I thought the Christmas game was a night
I'm pretty sure the game was at 4 o'clock, and I had I believe so.
Was it 4:30?
Oh, no, it was 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in the middle of cooking, man.
You could not have adjusted your eating that day.
Nah.
No?
Nah.
You couldn't have had dinner at 3? And then just be having...
Dude, I had a smorgasbord, man.
Christina had dessert and stuff like that. Halftime of the... It had to be 4. Yeah, it had to be 4:30
yeah, it was 4:30.
Because it was at halftime of the Birds game, desserts and stuff like that. Dinner was done beforehand.
Yeah. I rewatched the game the next morning before doing the show.
Wow.
I had to. I watched the second half live because that's when we were done eating. Yeah, it was horrible.
It was a terrible game.
All right, so Connor Thomas made a statement last segment that this is in his lifetime. Again, I need to make that clear because I know there's already somebody going, 1980. In his lifetime,
please.
This is the best Phillies team that you've seen in your life.
Yes, most talented. I'm not saying anything about guaranteeing they're going to reach this level or going to win this many games.
And look, hey, the most talented team, in my opinion, is 2011. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Cardinals.
But I've never seen a better baseball team put on a Phillies uniform than the one playing right now.
All right, why is it better than 2011?
It's the star power that's on this team. And I know you'll talk about Utley and Howard and Rollins, but I look at the amount of guys that are capable of being an all-star this year.
Okay.
Or playing at an all-star level. And you could argue that it's, 8 of the 9 guys in the regular starting lineup when everyone's healthy?
Yes.
Are all-star caliber players.
All-star caliber?
You could make
that's
case.
fair. Absolutely.
Yeah. Could you make that case about the 2011 team?
No, you couldn't.
No.
Chooch was, I'm pretty sure. Howard, Utley was. If Utley was healthy, then yes. Rollins, yes. Victorino, yes. Pence, yes. It really comes down to Polanco and Ibanez.
Right, and
Polanco wasn't all-star that year, wasn't he?
Was he that
I'm
year?
pretty
11?
sure Placido Polanco made the All-Star team that year.
Okay, that's wild. That would shock me, but maybe
I'm pretty
I'd
sure.
be surprised.
I'm gonna follow.
Okay.
I will vet that right now, but I'm pretty sure Placido Polanco was on the All-Star team that year.
Okay.
The other thing, I'm just looking at this top to bottom, and we talk about, we got a text here, right? And we had someone check in and say, Andrew's right, because the Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee are better than Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola.
Yeah, that's what the biggest thing is.
But
for me.
I got you, but how big is that gap? And is that gap outweighed by how much better Ranger Suarez is than anyone else who is in that rotation? Roy Oswalt did not have that good of a year.
And we're not
Cole
talking
Hamels
about
did not have that good of a year.
we're not talking about the potential of Roy Oswalt.
Right.
We're talking about the results of Roy Oswalt. He
Exactly.
wasn't anywhere near
Oh, no,
Ranger Suarez.
he wasn't. But look, Zach Wheeler is a stud.
Yeah,
you don't.
dude.
You don't have to. You know how I feel about him. I felt this way since he first got signed. That I thought he was the ace of the staff, even though Nola was here. Blah blah blah. I don't have to go down memory lane. He's not Roy Halladay.
He is not Roy.
He's
Halladay.
not Roy Halladay.
No, he's not.
Like Roy Halladay is a first ballot Hall of Famer and was pitching like one in 2011.
Right,
Zach
but-
Wheeler's pitching tremendously this year. Don't get me wrong.
But you got to understand, like, it may not carry over past this year, but what I'm looking at right now is I'm watching Ranger Suarez. If Ranger Suarez was put on that 2011 team, he'd be having the best season. He's having the best season since the 1908.
Remember 1908 was the Jason
They
Stark
won another
stat.
one of his starts. I don't know how. Listen, I don't know how they lose one of his starts, and he's going to lose one. But I don't see a way to beat him right now.
By the way, Polanco was an All-Star in 2011.
Wow, he was?
Yep.
Really?
So it's close, but for me, and again, I do a lot of gut feeling, eye test type of thing. I remember watching that 2011 team. I know how good they were. This team feels like another notch above that one.
I don't think.
I don't-
think
look, it's not crazy.
I don't
Like
think
I said, I think
anybody
it's
hearing
close.
you. Yeah, I don't think anybody hearing Connor is saying, "God, he sounds stupid saying that."
No, I don't think so either.
But
There was
it's-
somebody on our YouTube feed, which is why I barely look anymore.
That's saying that.
That said, Connor's so childish with this.
I don't
It's-
think
it's
so at
not
all.
childish.
I love our
No.
YouTube chat.
They have such this team is packed with talent. You're right. You're right. I'm not saying you're crazy in saying it. I just still think 2011 was the best team I've seen in my life, and I don't think this
Not
team.
anymore. It wasn't.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. But that is fascinating.
I will tell you, I feel better about this team than that one.
Well, you have this weird thing.
Yeah, you do.
I do. And the thing is, because I lived it. I watched 3 Hall of Famers that every single year in a rotation.
Yeah, but you know what? This is very similar to our Sixers conversation.
Okay.
I'd rather have chances every single year.
No, I mean,
If
believe
I
me.
have Halladay, Lee, Hamels, Oswalt, even though you saw it not work before,
And I saw it not work over and over again.
I still think I have a better chance than having what is amazing to me, the World Series team of Hamels, Brett Myers, Jamie Moyer, and Joe Blanton. Like, if you were to tell me which team would you rather have, and it's those 2 rotations, I'm not taking Hamels, Brett Myers, Jamie Moyer, and Joe Blanton.
Okay, you're not making you're making sense there.
Yeah.
That makes sense there.
But it's very much like the Sixers. Like, I'm taking the Stars over hopefully building some sort of continuity that might take a couple of years.
I got you, and I think that is very, very reasonable on your part. I had a PTSD of talking about it year after year and just saying, this doesn't work. And talking with a Hall of Fame general manager in John Sherholtz saying, do you not think about changing something up when it doesn't work? And people looked at me like I was crazy. Like, you're kidding me. What
Well,
doesn't
John,
work?
however many years later, we're still looking at you like
Well,
you're
I'll tell
crazy.
you.
Yep, we still are. That's absolutely correct. What do we have on the text line there, Connor? I know there are people still chiming in about the immediate conversation that we had to start the show, whether or not high expectations, help or hurt your enjoyment of a regular season.
Yeah, so we have someone checking in here that says, no name on this one as well. Expectations are always nice when you don't expect much, and they do great, and they bring up the 93 Phillies.
And 22.
Yeah, exactly. So I think part of it is what happens before the season, like what your expectation is going in. That's a huge part of it's not just expectations get raised throughout the year. It's also when you have found money, it's way much better than money earned.
Yeah. See, I'd rather go into a season knowing my team's good. Right. And
I do not like that found money thing.
No.
I like money earned.
Like, look,
that I can
I will
count
say
on.
You gamble, play blackjack all the time. Isn't
Yeah,
that
but the
more
thing
fun
is
than just getting a paycheck?
No, but I earned that by. There are stupid. I could see that. I could put somebody else at the table. Could sit down with me with $200, and I will watch them do stupid things.
Right.
And I will do smart things, and I will earn money by doing that.
I
That's just how I
understand
look at it.
the warm and fuzzy feelings we get from those teams. Like, I had warm and fuzzy feelings with the Flyers this year, even though
Of
they
course,
didn't
sure.
freaking make the playoffs, and I had warm and fuzzy feelings with them. But I'd rather go into the team going, yeah, my team's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather do
I've got
that
a team that could be potentially good.
than be the Philadelphia Flyers roster right now. All right, you can climb in 610-632-0975. Coming up next, as we continue to look at the Eagles' schedule, there is a game that I am totally intrigued by.
Interesting.
And it has more to do with the Eagles draft, not like, oh, I want to go travel to this place. It has to do with the Eagles draft. And I want you guys to think about this. When you think about the Eagles roster, what is a game that you're intrigued by because of the Eagles roster? We'll discuss that next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bob Cooney.
A lot of listeners have brought this up to us. Was about Joel.
The Fanatic. Coming up this segment, I know we have a lot of texts coming in about the game that people are most looking forward to, the game that they're most excited about. And I always love to know the reason why. Is it because people want to travel to places? And we'll get into that at some point during the show today. I'm wearing my Philly Sports Trips t-shirt today.
Those are great folks.
I texted Vince yesterday. I said, happy Super Bowl day, which I don't know if it's a happy day because he's now working nonstop over the next couple of weeks. He shuts off his phone, just disappears. But people like to book the trips, or people like to pick the what's the party where we get everybody together to come watch the game.
Well, the Friday night opener.
That's a big. I can't. I'm actually pumped that it's a Friday night. The only thing, and it's very selfish, is that it'll be 2 days until we get to react, or 3 days until we get to react on the air.
That is one part of it.
That's the biggest selfish gripe that I have.
I like the fact of the amount of open weekends we have, though.
Yeah.
There are some good open weekends that are strategically placed. So you get like a weekend after Labor Day, which still a lot of people go to the shore.
Yes, they do.
Still go to the shore. It'll be a big shore night Friday night, and then you get Saturday and Sunday down the beach.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Also,
That's great.
by the way, I got to give myself a quick horn toot. 5 1 o'clock games, boys. Right
Yeah,
on the
5 1 o'clock games. I was
surprised.
amazed by that.
Well, one of them may not be.
Oh, stop it.
There could be the
one
flex.
of them, one of them is one of them was a 1 o'clock game on the schedule when it was released last year, and then it got flexed to 4:30.
Yeah, but
because the last game of the year.
his bet hits on release day. He said over 4.5. That bet, that cashes. How much money did you get?
$1 billion.
Congratulations.
me.
Cut
the check.
$1 billion.
All right. So I asked the question. I wanted you guys to think about this during the break, and I want to get your answers. The game that you're most intrigued by going into this season from a roster standpoint, and I'll give you my answer so that in case you don't have one right off the top of your head, just so I can explain why. So I have the Eagles-Rams game. It has nothing to do with it being a Sunday night. It has not, Sunday night? Yeah.
It's a Sunday night, 8:20.
Right. So it has nothing to do with the Sunday night.
whatever.
It has nothing to do with that being Christy's birthday, and I have to, juggle that.
Ooh.
It has everything to do with the Eagles roster and the new look secondary. So Darius Slay, we know, is going to be the corner on one side. Quinyon Mitchell, potentially the corner on the other side. Cooper DeJean, signs are pointing to him potentially playing the slot. That means rookie Cooper DeJean is going to have to go up against a fellow Cooper in Cooper Kupp, who also lines up in the slot. And sometimes he bounces to the outside. And then who lines up in the slot? Puka Nacua, who took the world by storm last year. And, oh, by the way, there's a veteran quarterback that is still playing at a high level in Matt Stafford. To me, this is a huge test for the young, even though Darius Slay's not young, but the new look and majority young Eagles secondary. And that's something that I'm very intrigued by to see if these guys are ready for a test like that.
Now, you said roster-wise.
Correct.
I have the gut check game, to me, the 29th of September at the Buccaneers, because I want to see a ass whooping.
Yeah.
I want to see the members of this roster that literally were on that field for that pathetic effort go on out against Tampa and lay one on them. Show their talent that they didn't show in January. That, to me, is one where I'm going to know a lot about the roster. If they go down there and mess around or somehow lose to Tampa, I'll know all I need to know about that.
And I'll tell you right now, I'm expecting them to win that game. And there's a couple of reasons why. To that point, right, you got embarrassed last year in the playoff
totally
game.
Embarrassed.
You go down there, you win. Also, the following week's the bye. And I know a lot of people always get worried about oh, man, they're looking ahead of the bye. Because the bye's so early this year, like if it's a week 9 bye, I get it, where you're going, oh, man, the look-ahead spot to the bye. It's only week 5.
Andy Reid was one of the first coaches with the bye. The majority of NFL teams, the coach will give them a incentive during the week where they will say, by the way, you win Sunday, add 2 extra days to your
bye week. Interesting.
Take it a little bit longer. So I think there could be a motivation factor there. I would see Sirianni being one of those guys. Oh, by the way, I'm going to give you an extra day and a half on your time off. You go win this game. Let's go 4-0. Let's go 3-1. Let's put this in the win column.
So you said 4-0?
Or 3-1, whatever your record is. Let's go win this one because you're going into the bye week. Good try on that one. Good try on that one.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a 4-0, maybe 3-1.
That was sneaky. That was like a night you did Good little try there.
All right, we'll revisit this. Don't you worry, because again, I got traps built in. Connor, the game that you're most intrigued by from an Eagles roster standpoint or an
Yeah.
Eagles team standpoint going into it.
Is it bad that I picked Baltimore again? Like, I don't
No,
want to
it's
put
not
everything
bad.
on that game, but here's the reason why. The Eagles have not been good against mobile quarterbacks
Okay.
for like the last 3 or 4 years. And I think part of that is the secondary, like you were talking about, but also the second level of defense has not been good enough.
No, it hasn't
And
been.
Lamar Jackson is a monster. He is
Yeah.
the best in the game at that, in my opinion. But Josh Allen's up there. Josh Allen torched him last year. You got lucky you won in
You won.
overtime. But so when I see Lamar Jackson, I see that skill set and athleticism. I'm like, okay, we'll find out if they can neutralize
You
that.
might find out if Devin White still has something left in the tank. You'll
Maybe.
find out if Nakobe Dean is on the field, number
Yeah,
one.
like, we
But
don't
number
even know
two,
what
if
they'll
he's
look like.
talented. Right, exactly. That's it. No, it's okay to pick the Ravens twice for that one.
I don't
all
think
right.
that's bad at all.
No. What do we got on the text line? The game that people are most excited about heading into the season after schedule release day last night.
Yeah, we have a lot of different numbers are checking in on this one. The first one that we have, this was an extension of the text on like those 93 Phillies teams and found money. But they say game looking forward to, besides divisional games, is the Ravens, and the least looking forward to is the Panthers. So chalk there. Sinclair checks in and says, because my wife is from Baltimore, most looking forward to the Ravens game.
Okay.
Hopefully they can go. He also says finish at 12-5 at worst for the Eagles. So he
Okay.
gave you a record there too.
12-5 at worst. That's a fair record.
I think so, too.
All right, let's go to Mike in West Philly. Hello, Michael. Good morning.
Mr. Kincade and sir, this is the friend of every city, but the Eagles are number one in my book. Mike Sheridan. How are you?
Hi, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I've been listening since 2004. You guys are killing it. I love it.
Thank you, buddy.
The best, Mike. Thank
Okay.
you.
You got an 18-game season, correct?
Yes. All right, 17-game season, 18 weeks.
Yes, sir. You got one preseason game? Yes?
3.
Three preseason games?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
There's
I
only
realize
3.
that.
Only 3.
All right. You tell me the first game, I'll give you an answer, and we'll move on to the first
No,
game.
we won't.
We're not
No,
doing
we're not doing- Thank
W's
you,
and
though.
L's,
Appreciate
Mike.
it, buddy. Good job, Mike.
Mike, what's your record? Just give us your record.
I'm going to give them 17 games. I'm going to give them 12-5.
Oh, that's
All
good.
right, that's a good one, Mike.
That's
Thanks.
a good one. We'll
thanks
take
for the
that.
call. You want to go through the schedule?
Did he really think?
You were ready for it, too, John.
Seriously, I'm like, shut that stuff down.
That was a plant from Salciunas.
I mean, shut that down.
I'm trying to make him fall into traps, man.
My gosh. And you know what's funny is, though, there are hosts who go, oh, my gosh. I think this is exactly what people want to hear. Might call in and go down 17 games and tell us whether this is a win or this is a loss.
By the way, the new name of the show is no longer Kincade Salciunas. It's Kincade and Sir.
I like that.
He could not. He has no idea what my name is, and that's totally okay. It's the Kincade and Sir show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. schedule release from last night for the Eagles. I'm trying to get John to fall into traps to give me wins and losses because he refuses to do W's and L's.
You know what, though? I'm going to give it to you this way. In fact, I just responded on social media to my old partner of 21 years. He said, we're going to be just posted a thing for the Buck Bellew show today, and he goes, we're gonna play the controversial one-loss game today.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I said, oh, no, you aren't. I responded to him. I said, no, you aren't. And he's going to have some fun with that. So you found a creative way to, I am trying to be slightly cooperative.
And you have been.
You have found a way to make the conversation interesting without dumbing it down to the lowest level of sports radio, and I applaud you for it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's the nicest thing I'll say to you today.
You slipped.
I did?
You said before the bye, either 4-0 or 3-1, and we'll revisit that.
No, I said that's what Nick Sirianni would be telling his team.
Okay.
By the way, yeah, they could be 4-0 or 3-1.
But I'm going to say this.
Yes.
There is no way you're predicting a loss against that old city of yours.
Now you get me.
There is no way that John Kincade is going to predict the Falcons to beat the Eagles.
There ain't any way. No. Let me put this out there.
Answer the question.
Let me put this out there for the ATL. There is nothing Philadelphia likes more than when we invite Atlanta teams to come up after Labor Day because they wilt like the flowers you bought your mom on Easter 2 days later because you got them at the supermarket. You didn't get them at Pilates. There's nothing better than Atlanta teams coming north for a whooping, an absolute whooping. So, yes, we love Kirk Cousins in prime time, and we love that Atlanta's coming in. So I'll give you that one, Andrew. Absolutely. Pencil it in. No, don't pencil it in. Get a pen, get a Sharpie, get body paint. Week 2 is an absolute freaking win. The Falcons are coming in, please. The Falcons aren't even going to have a home opener the week before because they got the Steelers coming in, which means there's going to be 30,000 Steeler fans buying up their home tickets. And the 16 people that will come up to support the Falcons, we welcome you. We hope you have a great time, and you are under my protection. I'll make sure you're taken care of. That's a win, Andrew. I'll give you that one.
How about that, Connor?
Week 2, home opener.
I'm just wondering who he's protecting that from.
This is actually easier than I thought.
Kirk Cousins. Seriously.
Dude, what is with the NFL and the Kirk Cousins Eagles Week 2 thing?
Dude, it happens all the time.
Three straight years.
I think it's because of the fact that he is a charming man. And I think they like Kirk Cousins is like the all-American boy, and he seems like a great person. But he's a great person to invite over for a good old backyard whooping.
It's just amazing. It's 3 straight years the Eagles are playing Kirk Cousins in Week 2.
It is incredible. But
Two different teams now.
But we already know the ending. Much like some of the movies that you people go and see. We already know the ending. You just don't know how the script is going to be written.
Yeah, I think John still has a little bit of a grudge with the ATL.
No.
Not grudge. I shouldn't use the word grudge.
I got to tell you. Well, I will tell you this.
I mean, 20 years of it,
Well, I will tell you
still
this.
part of your life.
Is that their owner is a bully and a guy who literally invited me to lunch one time at his private dining room. And he's a good man, Arthur Blank. And he said, what's it going to take for you to get onto the same page with us? I said, I don't work for you.
No.
That was my answer. And I'm still not working for him. Eagles win Week 2.
I got one out of John Kincade.
You did. And
well,
you know what? You fired me up for that one.
I have you at 7-2. All right, so we have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up in a minute. We have Andrew DeCecco, by the way, joining us at 8:10. Can't wait to talk to Andrew about the Eagles' schedule and, of course, other topics surrounding the Birds. But real quick, go to the contest line right now, 215-263-0975. Contest line, 215-263-0975. And let's go with caller number 7 because right now I have 7 wins for John. Caller number 7 in the contest line will win a $50 Wendy's gift card. Right now at Wendy's, kickstart your morning with the new breakfast burrito with loads of bacon, seasoned potatoes, fresh cracked eggs, and more. It's a complete breakfast in one hand. Had it last week. It was absolutely delicious. Only at participating U.S. Wendy's. We have 4 of these to give away today. Our first one right now to caller number 7, 215-263-0975. It is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What up, Connor?
What's good, boys? All right, let's get right into it. We got some good stuff, and I got to take you back a little bit of ways because the Phillies have taken 3 games from the Mets. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Mets defense was miserable.
It sure
last
was.
night.
I know exactly where you're going.
I know the weather was miserable.
Oh,
but,
my gosh.
I don't know. Did anyone catch who was on the TV broadcast for the Mets? Was it Mr. Keith Hernandez? Because this is what he used to say about the Philadelphia Phillies.
I've expressed to the front office of SNY that I hate doing Philly games, so I guess they gave me to get the series off.
You hate doing Philly game?
Oh, because they never seem to disappoint. I mean, over the years, now they're hot right now. I would like to see them. But, as far as fundamentally and defensively, the Phillies have always been just, not up to it.
Guess what, you rat with a mustache? This team is whooping your ass right now.
I love that.
It's amazing because
He's a nice man, but he is a.
I do like Keith
he's
Hernandez,
but he's a. And if you talk to him, he's a great dude. But he's a grumpy. He's like 85.
yeah.
He's grumpy.
But there have been two teams in this division that took a shot at the Phillies, and since then it's gone horribly for them. Keith Hernandez with that comment about the Mets, the Phillies and their bad fundamentals. And then remember the Nationals?
Oh, yeah.
They put out that tweet like,
Beating Philadelphia is not as hard as Philadelphians say it is.
Yes, and then since then, the Phillies have like a 700 winning percentage against them. Just shut your mouth. It might actually be the best thing for them is to stop talking trash because the Phillies continue to just rock them.
Speaking of rats and rat adjacent, we had an actual animal enter the pitch at the Union game, and Dave Leno on the TV side gave a Hall of Fame call when a raccoon found his way onto the field at Subaru Park.
Oh my gosh, there's a raccoon. Wait a minute. There's a raccoon near the halfway line. The raccoon is jetting towards the middle of the circle and towards the goal of Matt Freese. Oh, watch this. He's playing like a Union forward up top. He's going towards the goal for the raccoon. The raccoon is going towards the corner, and now he ramps inside the penalty area. He's getting towards the 6 with play stops.
It's just a great call.
It's an incredible call. I love when the broadcasters play into it.
The guy is drunk,
Thank you.
but there he goes.
So I'm going to tell you a story about that. So I don't know if you ever met Joe Torti. Joe Torti used to work
Oh, sure,
here
I
at
met Joe.
97.5 Fanatic.
University of Penn voice.
Yep, tremendous person. Great at what he does with play-by-play. I think he spoke with Kevin Harlan like after that. Kevin Harlan does not like it being brought up. I think somebody like complained to him inside that network that he was doing the radio broadcast
That's
for.
incredible.
And, the leagues they don't want to promote that kind of stuff. That's why if you watch a Phillies game and there's a streaker, they don't show the person, not even streaker, the person that just runs on the field. They don't show it because they don't want to promote that kind of stuff.
It's
Man,
radio.
Just play into it.
And Harlan is as good as it gets.
Yes. Oh,
He's
tremendous.
as good as it gets. So to me, Leno there taking the lead from Harlan. Have fun. People tune in for fun.
Right, absolutely.
And that was a great job.
Incredible call.
Yeah,
Nice
poor
job,
raccoon,
Leno.
They threw a trash can on him, though, and got him out of there. That's they trapped him. They were throwing like a recycling
that's
bucket
where
at him.
they
What do you want him to do?
But
Grab
that's
some
what. But
gloves.
that's what they like. They
Pick 'em
they
up.
go into trash
That's
cans.
true.
Hey,
They go into trash cans and eat food.
That's
So
like
it's like
throwing
a
a
second
Wendy's
home.
burrito at me. I love that.
The
I'm good.
raccoon was on my Landis Block Backyard Paradise this morning around 3:30. I have the video of it.
I don't
Made
think
his
it was
trip
the
over
same
from
one.
Subaru Park all
Exactly.
into your house.
The
It could very
raccoon
well
is
be. Right, he
relocated.
went right
He's
up
fine.
322 and made his way.
All right, we'll move on for the raccoon. One thing that we haven't really gotten into, I thought we were going, because John brought up something he hated about the schedule, and then we talked about the streaming services. Dude, the Week 5 bye, can we just talk about this real quick? That's miserable.
No.
That's the only part of the schedule that I don't like, is the bye that early.
It's the single man. I thought of Andrew Salciunas immediately because he says to the lovely Christy, and says, honey, you start scheduling the trip to Linvilla Orchards.
Oh, get the apple
You start
orchard
to,
out of here.
you start.
Pumpkin patch.
That's what we're picking apples. We're doing. Here's the weekend. Dad is all in,
Yep.
and it will get him many benefits because he's a good dad. But I want you to take the lead in scheduling. I want every dad in our audience to today start looking at the calendar, and I want you to say to your wife, by the way, put on your
Yeah, that's not
calendar
happening.
that Saturday we're going to
No,
Linvilla
the
Orchards.
Eagles have to play 13 straight games to end the season. How do you like them happen?
They
No,
would
they
have
don't.
played
They don't
9
have to-
straight. They would have played. Like, honestly,
No, because they
I don't make much of the bye.
And they
at
don't have to
points
because
this
they'll
You
get
guys
week,
should.
week 18 will be off.
Connor, how did the bye week work for them last year? It was later in the season.
It was 9
They
or
then
something.
fell apart. To me,
It
honestly,
doesn't mean anything.
They won coming off the bye.
yeah, they did. And then what happened? Then they lost,
I saw
win,
Bill.
We're not going to put that on the bye week.
I saw Bill Colorillo talking about, well, no team has won the Super Bowl that hasn't had their bye week by a certain time. That has seriously nothing to do with any team that's ever won or lost a Super Bowl. None, as far as that is concerned. That is a stat that exists.
I'm sure
because it's a stat.
Right.
And the Phillies analytics department would probably push it big time.
All right, I have a question for you. As we await Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds, who did a tremendous job, by the way, last night.
He really did.
With our Eagles schedule release special on our YouTube feed. So a little bit different stuff we got going on here at 97.5 The Fanatic. What is the longest winning streak the Eagles might have this year? And what is the longest losing streak the Eagles might have this year?
I did not have that one on my bingo card today.
I told you.
Okay, a long winning streak?
What is the longest winning streak that they might have? And if you're just tuning in, John Kincaid's anti-W's and L's, so I'm trapping him into giving me potential results.
Wow, because the way this the longest potential winning streak to IC is 5.
Okay.
Potential is
I got
5.
you.
I'd put the number if I was a betting man. I'd say I'd ask you to bet a winning streak of over 4.5.
Okay.
Or over under 4.5.
What about losing streak? Because this is an important one for me to try to figure out where your head's at.
They will not lose 3 in a row.
But they might lose 2.
Yeah, they could lose 2.
Okay.
They will not emphatically. They will not lose
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Okay. All right. But they might lose 2 in a row.
They could. Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying is that I emphatically will tell you they will not lose 3.
Because, again, my task today is trying to piece together what your W's and L's are without doing W's and L's. And then you'll tell me around 9:30 if I was close.
This is like CSI Ardmore or CSI Ballot.
I'll be honest, this is the hardest I've ever worked. Let's go to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. And we are joined by the man from Inside the Birds and, of course, 97.5 The Fanatic. And a great job on our YouTube feed last night.
Good job.
Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing great. How was last night for you? First, how much – I know there was reporting being done, but you don't really know until it's officially released. So how fun was that for you last night, doing the show on the YouTube feed, and then when it's released, reacting to it?
Well, it's always a lot of fun, but particularly for me, Andrew, it's logistically. Where am I going? How am I going to plan my travels, and so on and so forth. And honestly, the first question that came to my mind was week 3. Are you boys going to be out joining me in New Orleans?
Well, we have to find out.
We'll talk about it.
We have to find out. I mean, it would definitely attract us all. I can tell you that much. That would be absolutely attractive.
Yeah, that right there was the most appealing. A weekend in New Orleans covering that game in September, I mean, that's really hard to beat.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
pretty good.
You can't beat it. I mean, it would absolutely be perfect.
I would like to be hanging out with you. Let's see if we can make that happen, Andrew. All right, so somebody other than the logistics of travel, what are some of your big takeaways from the schedule? I mean, I'll just say for a talking point, John and I look at it and we go, this is pretty favorable for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, the initial slate, not being at home for 3 of the 4 games, and then having that early bye week, that's a little bit of a blemish, in my opinion, a little bit of a concern. But finishing 4 or 5 at home is very advantageous, and I'm sort of, as I was conjuring up the schedule and how things might play out in my mind, I think the Eagles could actually finish strong, whereas last season we all know what happened there. But there's 5 primetime games. There's a lot more 1 o'clock games that we're accustomed to, but there isn't a lot of games at Lincoln Financial Field in September or October, which is really where a lot of the interest and the nice weather and everybody's really, really heavily invested and excited for the season. So you don't really have that. But, I mean, they don't have to get on a plane for the last 6 games of the season, which is a definite win. So there's a lot to like. There's not really a gauntlet, so there's a lot to like with the schedule.
Do you buy into the idea of that when you're looking at a schedule, that getting tough games out of the way early helps the team, or getting a sort of a runway where you can play some easier games helps you later on? How would you prefer a schedule workout, and how does this one fit into your view of a schedule?
Well, that's interesting because I look at it based on team and how the roster is structured, John. And I think the Eagles having to encounter some tough challenges early on with a roster that's largely been turned over, new coach at the coordinator position. I think that's going to be a true test, engaging and assessing your personnel, seeing how different players fit, and being able to kind of take from that and use it and propel forward. So I think in this particular case, you want to see how they're going to answer some of these early season challenges. And then when you get into week 12, when you're going to LA, which is going to be a challenging matchup, and playing the Ravens down the stretch there, I think that you'll have a better sense of what you have.
Location aside, I'm going to ask you two questions when it comes to the schedule. Number one, the game you're just most looking forward to watch from an Eagles standpoint. And then number two, from an Eagles roster standpoint, what is the game that you're most looking forward to watch, maybe when it comes to a test? And I'll give you my answer after you give yours.
Well, the one I'm most looking forward to is Eagles-Bengals. I have high expectations for the Bengals this year. Traveling to Cincinnati and playing them at 425, especially if Joe Burrow is healthy, obviously, is going to be a really good litmus test to see where the Eagles are, and that's in Week 8. But I really want to see, from a roster perspective, and just seeing where they're at and being able to really gauge how they're going to fare going out to L.A. in Week 12.
That's my answer.
Exactly. Great minds think alike. So going across the country, seeing how you're going to respond, because the Rams are a good team. They've done some really good things this offseason. I want to see if they're going to show up prepared and really how they're going to be able to check off those boxes, because if they're going to be the team that we envision them to be, which is going deep into the postseason, that's going to be a major test.
Yeah, and I was looking at it from specifically a secondary standpoint, because you have Cooper DeJean, who could be your slot corner. We know that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua at different times line up in the slot, so that's a big test for DeJean. And then also on the outside, Darius Slay is going to be on one side. The question is who will be the other guy, and if it's Quinyon Mitchell, that's another big test going up against two star wide receivers in the NFL, against a veteran quarterback that's got a lot of talent still.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have a really potent running game. If you remember last season, and this is obviously it pales in comparison, but I was there. They had Mario Goodrich start at nickel. Then they ended up going to Eli Ricks when he was struggling covering Cooper Kupp. Then they put Bradley Roby out there. It's a whole different ball game right now when you have someone like Cooper DeJean, who I envision to be the nickel player. And I want to see how Vic Fangio is able to counter what the Rams are going to look to throw at him. So it's going to be sort of a chess game in my estimation anyway, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Would you rather have played the Commanders early with a rookie quarterback who probably will get to start, or would you rather see them round into shape? See, I'm a little concerned about the fact that the Commanders could be a much better team in the second half than they are in the first half, and you play them in 2 of your last 8 games.
I agree with you, John. I think if the Eagles had their druthers, they would like to play the Commanders early when you have a young quarterback who is going to be completely befuddled by what Vic Fangio is going to throw at him. I think that really plays into the Eagles' favor. I do like Jaden Daniels, by the way. I just think that it's a tall task going up against a defense that can do so many different things. So I think facing them later it creates a little bit of, I don't want to say apprehension or anything like that, but it certainly makes it a little bit more interesting.
All right, last thing before we let you go. I have a very difficult task today. John is anti-W's and L's.
I think Andrew knows this well.
So I have been trying to set traps through the entire show to try to get a prediction from him. And it's not like I started at week 1. I've bounced around all over this schedule. And one of the questions I will ask him coming up is the one I will ask you now. Speaking of traps, what is the trap game, the dreaded trap game that you see on the schedule right now, Andrew DeCecco?
The Thursday night game against the Commanders. That's
my answer, too.
That to me, the short week, you have a team who could, as John already said, could be potentially rounding in the form. They've done some really good things, adding some free agent pieces and through the draft. So you don't know how that's going to come together at that point in the season. They always play the Eagles really tough. So that, to me, when I was looking at it, I said, that might be a game to circle and watch.
Andrew, you're the man. We appreciate it. Great stuff last night with Bill Colarulo on our schedule release special on the YouTube feed. We appreciate everything you do for the station. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.
There he is, Andrew DeCecco on the Comcast Business Hotline. Now, that's interesting. You have that as the trap, but when I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, it almost sounds like you think that's a win.
No, what I've said to you is that
you lean.
The win that I said was the last game against the Commanders. That I said if you're talking about the 2, that would be the game I would lean to them being a guaranteed win. Not the first one.
Okay.
Interesting. You're doing good. You're doing a lot of math over there. You didn't do that much math in that freshman year class at Temple.
Dude,
which you slept through, I'm sure.
None whatsoever. All right, coming up next, when the schedule came out yesterday, I had an immediate feeling that I feel guilty about. I'll explain what coming up next, and I want to know if I'm right in feeling this way. Also, more of your reaction to the games you're most excited about, whether or not seasons with high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of the regular season itself. We have a lot in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Been a fun show today, reacting to the NFL schedule release yesterday, the Eagles schedule release, talking a lot about the Phillies' victory again over the Mets yesterday. Connor Thomas made a statement that this team, talent-wise, is the best team he has seen in his lifetime, in the Phillies team, of course. I still think 2011 is better, but you can strongly, obviously, make the case that this team is better. I will say that this team's bullpen is better than that one, because that was like the end of Brad Lidge and Ryan Madsen. Like this bullpen is better than the 2011 bullpen.
This bullpen is better. There was a lot of 2011 to me going in, and I wish that I could probably prove it to you on Twitter. It was from old tweets. To me, it seemed like just rolling it back, not freshening up the roster.
I think you were the only person in the world saying that. And then they won 102 games.
No, they did. And I actually thought, wow, I'm sounding dumb.
And then we know what ended up happening in the playoffs.
Yep.
But we would love to get some reaction to that. Let me know if we have text on that, Connor, 610-632-0975. Because I don't want to lose the Phillies, even though we've been talking a lot about the NFL schedule release today. I will say this, man. I don't care how ugly it has been for them. It still feels so good to beat the Mets. They're my least favorite franchise, number one. More so than the Cowboys. More so than the New York Giants. More so than the Boston Celtics. It's the New York Mets, number one. I don't care if they're 19-23 like they are right now, or if they're 30-0. Beating the Mets, no matter what the situation is, puts a freaking smile on my face, man.
I didn't bring it up yesterday how exciting we watched my brother and I watched the Tuesday game, the afternoon game at PJ's in Newtown Square.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing all the Phillies fans every time they did something well, it made me feel a little better after our stadium got taken over for a playoff game, the way we dominate there. But the Met fans do travel.
The Mets fans look, when the Mets are in Philadelphia, they travel very well.
I didn't hear them last night.
Well, they didn't really.
No, but I didn't hear
the weather.
Right.
If you're making the drive from New York, you probably don't want to maybe drive to a game that's going to be rained out. They do a good job traveling. They have that. They have that travel group. Remember the guy that threw out the first pitch a couple of years ago?
That's the seven-line army.
Yeah, exactly. So they do travel well.
I respect that group, by the way.
Yeah, just like I respect our groups.
They're fans of their team, and they've been kicked in the privates quite often, and they still come out.
And I love it when they get kicked in the privates, especially by the Phillies. So still fun. Connor, do we have anything coming in on the text line about this fighting Phils team that you believe is the most talented in your lifetime? I want to make it clear again for somebody that's listening and goes, oh, my God, 1980.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Listen, I'll tell you what. I was just talking with Bob Cooney, who's going to be coming up on middays. He was saying 1980. I don't know if that meets the team here talent-wise. But that's a weird conversation. That's a totally different game. We have someone checking in just saying, no name on this one. Hope it doesn't end like 2011 against the Cardinals, and we're still focused on the postseason to figure out if this team's that good.
Come on.
And that goes back to our initial topic today. Our initial topic today is whether or not high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of a regular season.
It hurts that person.
That person, it hurts them because they go, oh, well, are they going to lose to the St. Louis Cardinals or whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs? I can't think about October right now. Look, I'm excited for it. I love Red October. It's an incredible time. The Eagles are playing. NBA and NHL is about to tip off. I can't think about, oh, my God, but what if they lose in the first round? What if they win the division and they're the Braves where they lose after the bye? I can't think about that right now. I'm enjoying myself in the month of May. I enjoyed myself in the month of April. I have not been able to do that for a long time now with the Phillies.
I don't know who these people are. Like, I don't get it. Is that like last night, as I said, my wife is now becoming obsessed with the Phillies, which I just find so fascinating. All of a sudden, she's all in on the Phils. She literally got up and went to another room last night because she thought it would change the mojo.
And it worked.
And I'm like, honey, this is one of 162. And I was told.
Thank you, Mrs. Kincade.
I was told, shut up. Don't jinx it.
That's right. That's not the first time she's told you to shut up.
And then when it was 7-2, I'm like, maybe I'm going to start to do it because I have the Major League at bat. I can pull the iPad up, be able to watch the video of it. Nope. You're going to stay. Don't jinx it.
Good.
Don't jinx it.
Look. I'm pro Mrs. Kincade here, man.
You don't enjoy, somebody found joy on May 15th that is just becoming a real big Phillies fan. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't enjoy the ride of something, I don't get it.
Well, that's why
I don't get it.
That's why when you pitched this topic yesterday, this is before the game even played out, and then we get that response. Oh, well, what if they lose like the 2011 Phillies did? This team, the 2024 Phillies, has nothing to do with the 2011 Phillies.
There's
has nothing
absolutely
to do with it.
nothing to do with it. I think it's nothing to do with it.
So answer that question as well. It's 610-632-0975. Do you believe that high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of a regular season? And I think for a lot of you, it hurts your enjoyment more than it helps or makes you enjoy the season even more. For me, the only reason why you have high expectations is because you have a good baseball team, football team, hockey team, basketball team. So to me, I take pride in it. I take joy out of that.
If you say 50.1% being the majority, I absolutely believe the majority of fans in this fan base, it makes it more excruciating for them.
I think so.
And I truly don't understand it. I hear the people make the case. I still don't understand.
I think the biggest case, and I will play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
I think the biggest case is, and Connor kind of touched on this, I remember when we talked about this about a month ago, the fact that they lost 3 straight championships in Philadelphia, right? Phillies, Eagles, Union. The Sixers have been a constant disappointment in the second and this year first round of the playoffs. There's been so much disappointment at the end of seasons that people go, why do I build myself up for excitement when I know it doesn't necessarily always lead into a championship? Now, that's a sad way of going about it because that means you're never going to enjoy yourself.
I don't understand your fandom.
That's why
I don't understand that.
But John, there are people. I remember doing it. Again, revisiting topics, right? I'm not as much time as you, but I've been doing this for 10 years. All of a sudden, I blinked, and here I am.
Sure.
I did a topic once where it was like one of those summertime topics. You know what it was? It was during COVID.
Okay.
And they had a special documentary on NBC Sports Philadelphia about the 08 team. And I remember tweeting out, like, man, I miss those days. And people were like, oh, man, that team disappointed me because they only won one. Well, they won. I then asked the question the next day, which team did you like more, 08 or 93? Majority of people said 93.
Oh, jeez.
The team that lost in the World Series.
I truly,
not the team that won the World Series.
I got to tell you, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'm not trying to tell people, here's how you need to feel.
But you know why?
But I'm telling you, I don't understand it.
There were no expectations for that team. So that goes back to what we had. We had a texter earlier that basically said the season that comes out of nowhere are the teams that they fall in love with more.
I remember the legend Mike Missinelli and Steve Fredericks doing their radio show during the 93 Phillies.
Yeah.
And they started counting the magic number from like 120 as like a bit every day.
Yeah.
And there was such joy in that season. I totally get it. Like, I understand how joyous that is. I'll still remember the ride of that and how much fun that was. But seriously, if you can't enjoy it, I don't get it. I'm just not that kind of fan. I don't get it.
But that's what people do. People I think people enjoy the unexpected more than the high expectations.
Do people enjoy angst over just regular, like, joy? I don't understand.
No, but I think people fall back to angst more than actual joy. I think people go, oh, my God, yeah, the Phillies won last night, but, Rojas. I saw complaints on social media about Rojas yesterday.
I had someone tweeting at me to send him to the Mets. So I'm like, what are you talking
There
about?
are people complaining about it's not even me. I'm not even the guy complaining about Rojas.
No, it was your burner.
Oh, yeah.
No, I absolutely just say, come on. Like, I just don't get it.
I'd love to hear from you, 610-632-0975 on that. All right, the thing that I felt dirty about.
What do you feel dirty about?
And I knew that they were coming to town this year, but, like, when the schedule came out and I'm going through the teams, I go, the Brazil game, Packers, home against the Falcons, and I start going down.
What?
I don't really care that Doug P's coming back to Philly.
You don't?
No, and I feel dirty about it.
Okay, you should feel dirty.
He's the head coach of the only Super Bowl.
You should absolutely feel dirty about that.
I was excited when he first came back.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and the Eagles had that great comeback
2022.
But, like, I saw people on social media yesterday going, oh, man, Doug's coming back. Doesn't do anything for me.
Wow. To me, that'll do something.
I like it a little bit. It's not like a player coming back, though. That's the thing. Like, coaches don't really do it all that much for me because there's not going to be a Doug Peterson moment in that game. He's not going to make a great catch or a great throw.
What if he calls the Jacksonville special?
Seriously, with Doug Peterson, what if his bag of tricks comes down to him with a trick play or something? I love the storyline. I love seeing Doug back here. So that does it for me. I'm very excited about that.
Oh, God. This is going to sound
What are you gonna
sacrilegious.
say? What are you going to say?
I'm more intrigued of Andy coming back to Philly than Doug. Because there was more.
Whoa. Andy coming back is always intriguing because he's the greatest coach, in my mind, the greatest coach the NFL's ever known.
But the guy that won the Super Bowl, I
get you.
All right, just another week. Like, I don't see. To me, the storyline is is Trevor Lawrence going to be good this year? Like, it's not Doug P coming back.
If you were sitting in a restaurant and Doug Peterson was in the
I'd go up and shake his hand.
Oh, I understand you would. Would you say, hey, can I have his dinner bill? Can I have his, like, that man is so.
I don't have the money.
Are you doing that for Andy?
Yeah.
Guess what? I would do. Connor, Andy Reid is the greatest coach that I ever, and he didn't win a championship.
I don't want to
here.
pay for Cooper's. I don't want to pay Cooper's
But
bill.
Andy's dinner.
I'll buy him a drink.
Andy's dinner. He doesn't drink.
Well, have some water.
He's Mormon. He doesn't drink.
I've heard him ask for water before.
Might set you back.
Yes.
It might set you back.
I feel dirty about it.
Well,
To me, it's just another game.
By the way, you need to shower.
And I love Doug
that
Peterson.
man-
I'm not anti-Doug. I love Doug Peterson.
Love, capital L love, or
No,
sort
I
of?
do. Capital
Okay.
L love.
Then you should be moved by the moment.
But I already saw it once.
It was a terribly rainy Sunday afternoon at 1
And the Eagles
o'clock.
won, and I celebrated
They
it.
did.
All right, let's give away another $50 gift card to Wendy's, 215-263-0975. Call number 3, 215-263-0975 for your chance to win a $50 Wendy's gift card. Coming up next, we continue to talk about the schedule. I'm going to try to make John fall into another trap to tell me whether or not he has a W or an L on the schedule. And there's something about the schedule that I love and hate that has nothing to do with the opponents. We'll discuss that next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, around the bases with Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll be joined by our friend from ESPN, of course, double made, double proud, Kevin Negandhi. I know he was a part of the coverage of the ESPN schedule release show yesterday. So we'll talk to Kevin about the Eagles schedule coming up at 9 o'clock. I want to tell you about stuff that I like and don't like about the schedule. It has nothing to do with the opponents. But real quick.
Interesting.
The Cowboys schedule. You know, we're so Eagles focused.
See, I can pull it up on the same spreadsheet right now. As Andrew discusses this, I can go on. It's already pulled up.
You're a lunatic.
Does it also have where you hit the bodies, Patrick Bateman?
Yeah, it's weird, dude. And in case you're just joining us, John literally has an Excel spreadsheet of all the schedules. When I just go to Google and type in Cowboys schedule, and in a matter of milliseconds,
you cannot right now. You cannot right now compare their schedules side by side. You would have to flip screens.
Yeah,
I can look at it right now.
Tap of the mouse.
I can look at it right here, but I don't have to do that.
You have to scroll.
No, I don't.
What's easier, tapping or scrolling?
It's on one screen already pulled up. I will not touch my screen the entire thing. Let's discuss. I've got it right in front of me.
How about that Cowboys schedule, you ding-dongs?
The Cowboys schedule. They have a mini gauntlet. Because the Eagles don't have the G word this year. It doesn't look like, at least right now on May 16th.
I think they do have a gauntlet.
They have who?
I think they have a gauntlet.
Cowboys. Yeah, Cowboys have a gauntlet. Now, the only thing that sucks is, of course, they always do them favors. They have a bye week during the gauntlet. So I start the gauntlet with the Lions game.
So do I.
All right, so it's in Dallas. They take on the Lions. Then they have the bye, of course. But then they travel to San Francisco to take on the Niners. The following week, they play the Falcons in Atlanta.
Could be dangerous.
We'll see. Look, it's Kirk Cousins carving up defenses. He might still be. We don't know. And then they host the Eagles, and then they host the Texans. And then they go to the Commanders, and I know the Commanders will see who they are, but we always talk about the tough battles. That's always a tough one for them. And I know that's the easiest game probably of that stretch. But Lions, Niners, Falcons, Eagles, Texans, Commanders, that's a pretty tough stretch for the Cowboys.
I didn't put Commanders on it, but because it's Thanksgiving. No, that's not the Thanksgiving. Excuse me. That's the week before Thanksgiving.
That's all right, yeah.
But to me, I didn't put Commanders on it, but I did. Lions, 49ers, at Falcons, Eagles, Texans. That's a brutal stretch.
That's a tough stretch for them.
And that's three home, 2 road. You get a bye in there. But I think that's a tough set. They have a gauntlet. We do not.
Yeah, something to pay attention to. All right, the thing that I love about the schedule, and I think you guys already know this.
Do you have to hit your mouse to be
No, I have the trusty sheet of paper in front of me,
Good,
too.
you like that.
You guys probably already know this, and it has to do with our schedule. 5 1 o'clock games is a major win.
Oh, yeah.
I am pro 1 o'clock game.
I love the 1 o'clock.
I like to be done and then watch the rest of the league without any angst unless I have a ticket. You know what I mean?
No, it's fun.
I don't understand how people are anti 1 o'clock. Like, I am pro 1 o'clock game. I think it's great, and I think it's a nice change of pace from last year where there was 2 1 o'clock games?
How about
3, I believe.
3?
How about 5 weeks of your football life? There's a bye week in the middle, the sandwich. 5 weeks, all 1 o'clock.
Wow, that's amazing.
At the Saints, at the Bucks, bye week. Home for the Browns, at the Giants, all 1 o'clocks. That's freaking awesome.
That is
a great thing, and it also plays to you, for all you guys to be. You get to be a better husband.
You do. You're right.
Well, it's good for the team too. Consistency is something that matters. Playing all these different days and different times, getting in a rhythm really helps you get rolling.
Now there is a rhythm in November that I don't like.
On the Eagles schedule?
Yeah.
What is it?
In 1 month, I got to watch 3 8 o'clock kickoffs.
Yeah, it's not as much fun.
November 3rd against Dougie P and the Jags. Then it's a 4:25 the following week against the Cowboys, but 8:15 against the Commanders.
On a Thursday night.
On a Thursday night.
That will be. I'm going to tell you this though. Here's something you haven't thought of.
Okay.
It will be the easiest Friday show you could ever do.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because it's a post-game show.
Yeah, of course.
That's the way I
can imagine. Yeah.
When the Eagles play Monday night, we're the post-game show on Tuesday morning because most people turn off their TVs and go to or radio and go to bed.
Right.
We're the post-game show. I think you're going to end up loving that one.
Okay, and then the following week's 8:20 against the Rams.
That's a Sunday night.
Really?
Don't dig that one.
3 out of the 4 in 1 month is Kristen might kill me.
But
she's got to do bedtime routine by herself.
Again, I told you about it beforehand. November is ratings sweeps. That's where they want the Eagles in the prime time because they know that they bring in big numbers.
That's a big point. All right, let's go to Brian in Dallas. Brian, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
What's up, Brian?
Morning. Hey, just real quick, I got two things. Because first, I want to I think it was you that was saying that you don't get too hyped over Dougie P. I think that was you.
No, that was Andrew.
No, that was
Andrew
me.
doesn't.
I don't have like a feel like I'm not like, oh man, I'm circling that game.
I'm with you 100%. I get that he won a Super Bowl. I'm just one of those fans that feel that he got credit for it. I get that more than DiFilippo and Frank.
Nah, come on. I'm not taking the credit away from Doug. I'm not doing that.
No, hear me out. The reason why I just say that is this, right? When you look at Dougie P's record, the dude has never won double digits except for that one season. If you look at his record, it's pretty paltry, his entire football career. So he's okay. Andy, on the other hand, who did win a Super Bowl, Andy was consistent. Whatever quarterback you give him, whatever coaching happens to give him, even when he was here, he was going to get us.
But, Brian, I feel dirty about it. It has nothing to do with win-loss recorts. I feel dirty that the guy who won the one Lombardi trophy in Philadelphia, I don't circle on the calendar.
And more importantly, DiFilippo, let me just tell you, this is legend stuff. This is legend stuff that gets talked about that doesn't make sense. Go to Nick Foles'
And thanks for the call, Brian.
Go to Nick Foles' autobiography. I'll pay you $1 every time you find the name John DiFilippo.
All right, coming
There's
up next.
a reason why you won't find it.
I read that book on waiting for my flight to take off.
That's perfect.
3-hour delay. Coming up next, Kevin Negandhi joins us to talk about the Eagles schedule and a whole lot more. I mean, look, we're going to talk to Kevin about the Phillies, the red-hot freaking Phillies that beat the Mets again last night, 10-5, improving their record to, 31-13 now. Incredible start to the season for the Phillies. So we'll talk about it all with Kevin Negandhi next, and I'm going to continue to try to find ways to trap John into giving me W's and L's on the Eagles schedule. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Those Phillies just keep rolling. I'm top.
The Fanatic will be joined momentarily from ESPN, our man Kevin Negandhi, but I want to let you know about the Fanatic Deal of the Week. Get a $100 gift card to New Jersey Motor Sports Park for just $50 located in Millville, New Jersey. You'll be able to experience high-speed thrills with Arrive and Drive go-karting, plus axe throwing, and a wide-ranging menu at the Finish Line Pub. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. And you know what? You could get a $100 gift card for just $50. How about I also give you $50 in Wendy's gift cards?
Sounds awesome.
Give me a number.
7.
No, we already did 7.
Oh, okay. Then let's do 13.
13. Get to work, Brendan Gunn. Caller number 13 on the contest line.
Why would I pick 13?
That might be a hint. 215-263-0975. Caller number 13 to the contest line. 215-263-0975. Win a $50 Wendy's gift card. Right now at Wendy's, kickstart your morning with the new breakfast burrito, which I inhaled, with loads of bacon, seasoned potatoes, fresh cracked eggs, and more. It's a complete breakfast in one hand, only at participating U.S. Wendy's. And I know the one down the street participates because I devoured it. All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline from ESPN. And, of course, Temple Made, Temple Proud does a tremendous job at everything that he does. The great Kevin Negandhi. Kevin, what's up, man? How are you today?
Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
We are doing great. I don't want to bury the lead and talk Eagles. We're going to get into the Eagles schedule. But, Kevin, real quick, I just want to get your thoughts on the hottest team in baseball, maybe the hottest team in the world, your Philadelphia Phillies.
How amazing is this? What, like 49 days into the season, they've got 31 wins. The depth that they're showing, Noah was, brilliant when they needed him to be brilliant, right? And he hasn't been that great this season, but he was fantastic yesterday. It's really impressive. And I want to continue to ride the wave because guess what? We all know baseball. We all know it's a grind, especially in the dog days of summer. You pad some of these wins. The best part of this is they are not mucking and grinding against inferior teams. They're dominating inferior teams, right? And if they lose a game, the next day they respond. They don't go back-to-back L's. That's what I love about this team. They're consistent. They've got a ton of depth for that infield with to lose Harper less than an hour before the game because of the migraine, and that everybody in that infield is playing a different position, and they all respond. Come on, man. Noah was great. They carried Ranger when they had to carry Ranger because Ranger's been carrying the team. I just thought this week has showed a heck of a lot in the last couple of days on responding and how to handle JT being out, Bryce being out, and everybody just picking up.
Kevin, one of the things we've been discussing this morning is the idea of enjoyment of this. Sounds like you're with us, that you're having a bunch of joy about what you're seeing with the Phillies night tonight. Yet there's a big portion of our fan base that doesn't have that joy because they're anxious saying, oh, now there's going to be high expectations in October. How do you enjoy seasons comparatively?
John, listen, that stuff never leaves us as Philadelphia fans, especially what we've experienced the last 3 years, right?
Sure.
That never leaves us. The heartbreak that we've experienced in October, having that 3-2 lead against the Diamondbacks and feeling really good that we're going to the World Series, coming off that 5-home-run game in the World Series against the Astros to be no-hit the next night, seeing how the Sixers collapsed last year, what the Eagles did at 10-1 and falling apart, having the Super Bowl win. That's the last 3 years. I haven't even talked about, decades of heartbreak, right? So that'll never leave us. I've always preached this one approach. Just live in the moment, enjoy the moment, because no matter what, we can't control what's going to happen down the road. We can control what we're doing right now, and we should enjoy this team because they're fun to watch in May, but I will caution anybody that is booking plans, let's not forget what happened the last 2 years of the Braves. They were the best team in baseball, and they were dominant in the division, and they fell apart in September and in October, and the Phillies took advantage. All I care about is the health of this team in September and October, especially the bullpen, because we are going to have a lot of minutes logged by that bullpen, and we will need that bullpen during the stretch run.
Kevin, I know you were busy yesterday with the NFL schedule release. Of course, we've been focusing on the Eagles pretty much all day today here on the show. Your thoughts on this Eagles schedule? I mean, the biggest thing that we've taken away from it so far today is that The G word will not be uttered. Gauntlet doesn't seem to be uttered with this Eagles schedule this season.
Yeah, you know who has the gauntlet? The gauntlet is to the other team in the state. If you look at the Steelers' final 8 games, it may be the toughest stretch I've ever seen. Just pull that up on what the Steelers are facing in the final 8 games. They play all 6 division games with the other 3 teams that are playoff contenders, and they have the Eagles, and they have the Chiefs. So good luck, Mike Tomlin and their quarterback. Just pull that up, and then you will appreciate what the Eagles have to face here. Because the one thing that stands out when I look at the Eagles' schedule is, my goodness, the Eagle fan that enjoys Sunday afternoon 1 o'clock games got screwed. Because there's literally the 1 o'clock game on a Sunday against the Browns, and that's in October. So if you want to celebrate tailgating and enjoy the morning sunny, you don't get that in September. And then the next one you've got to look at mid-November, and that's a night game. So the back end of this schedule, listen, after, Thanksgiving, they're not getting on a plane. That benefits the Eagles.
That's awesome.
47, if they go to the postseason, 47 nights in their own bed.
We will take that, especially after what they had to experience last year, right? There are 2 stretches where you're like, okay, we've got to figure this out, where they've got the Bengals, Jaguars, and Cowboys. Who knows if, Joe Burrow is going to be on the field considering his track record. Who knows what the Jaguars are going to look like because they've been up and down with Trevor Lawrence. And then who knows what we're going to get with the Cowboys, because I think it's going to be a zoo here with that team. With all the conversations about the last year that head coach has on his contract. And Jerry Jones likes to do that with his coaches, and he likes to also test Dak Prescott with that contract that he's currently on. So who knows what we're going to get with the Cowboys in Week 10. I really like where the Eagles are at in this situation. The most fascinating thing to me is we lose a home game.
I hate it.
Against a Packers team, and I'm with you. And we open up in South America with 2 new coordinators. I'm very curious because the Packers are a completely different team with Jordan Love. They have a ton of weapons, and we lose that home field advantage in that scenario against a team that's going to be a playoff contender.
Everybody's saying to me about that one, Kevin. I've been bringing it up for a couple weeks. Oh, what's the big deal? They're playing in Brazil. Who cares? It's a huge deal. It's the biggest game, arguably, on your home schedule. And you give it up in a neutral site game. I think that sucks.
To your point, John, I was at that Packers game a couple years ago where Rodgers got hurt. And remember leading into that game, there was a ton of hype. The Eagles showed out on I think it was a Sunday night game. Jordan Love came in for, mop-up duty because Rodgers had to leave. That environment was electric. And that's a home field advantage that we have. There's no question about it. And to lose that opportunity, especially, I hate giving away home games. That drives me nuts. It may work in Jacksonville when they go to London twice. I hate giving up home games and losing that environment. So that's the one thing, to your point, against the Packers team that I think is surging and feeling really good. And we've got new coordinators, and we want to get the bad taste out of our mouth, considering the last time we saw this team was a team that just basically gave up and was ready to go golfing after that Bucs scenario. And guys, the biggest storyline I think all season will be Jalen Hurts. Who shows up? Do we have Jalen Hurts from 2022 under Shane Steichen? Do we have Jalen Hurts from 2023 under Nick Sirianni? And the second thing is, does this team play for the head coach?
Yep.
Because they did not play for the head coach the final 2 months. And the head coach remained, but now he's the CEO, and everything was taken away from him, specifically on the offensive side. What kind of offense are we going to get with Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio with this defense? And it's the first time we get to see both sides, and we don't have that home field advantage against a very, very good Packers team.
Now, Kevin, before I let you go, I have a very difficult task today. So John Kincade is anti-W's and L's.
Hate playing that stupid game.
He hates playing the game W's and L's. So what I've been doing today has been setting up traps throughout the show to try to get him to say win or loss, or maybe the gut feel. And we've gone through to the division so far. We went through his old hometown in Atlanta. We have the Carolina game and the Baltimore game. But I'm going to set up the next trap right now, Kevin. John Kincade should not disrespect his guest. And because you are a guest of the show right now, I want
They're not playing Phoenixville.
I want you.
There's no Phoenixville game on the
to
schedule.
ask John right now a specific game and have him give a W or an L, because it would be very rude of him to disrespect our great guest, Kevin Negandhi.
Andrew, I hate to let you down, but I absolutely hate the win-loss.
Yeah! Give me a game, please, Kevin. Just ask John a question.
Hey, you want to know why it's so foolish and dumb to play that win-loss game?
Why?
Here's why. Because if you looked at the schedule, even during the season last year, you were guaranteeing wins against the Cardinals and Giants in December, right? And all you had to do was win those games to get the 1 seed, and look what showed up, and look how it showed up, and look how disappointing it was.
Kevin, if you...
I will tell you this.
Yes.
I haven't even gone win-loss scenario. It looks like a 12-win schedule. It looks like this team can win 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
But, who are we to say what this team's going to look like against Carolina? And my goodness, Carolina is going to be awful. But you cannot assume these things considering what we saw in December last year, especially when they were 10-1 and you're riding high and you're feeling really good, and they absolutely collapsed.
And remember,
so it's really hard to play that game in that scenario. And this, I know it's a fun thing to do in May. I just want to say, in general, this should be at least a 12-win team, because they got a second place schedule, and the way it's playing out, and it's not the gauntlet. I will take it. I think everybody will tell you we have no idea what to expect the first 2 weeks, just because how awful they looked the final 2 months.
But I know that if you came in today and said, hey, 6 o'clock Sports Center tonight, let's play wins and losses, L. I think Gary Streisky would be in tomorrow night. I think they'd say, Kevin, you need a vacation.
Well, listen. We did the schedule release show last night. I'm really proud. We did 2 hours of
and
TV.
You didn't do it.
We didn't do one win-loss.
There you go.
We didn't do one win-loss situation. We just talked about, hey, what teams are facing, because that's an exercise that in futility after 2 or 3 weeks.
By the way,
injuries.
Tell L. Duncan, who I love, as you know, week 2, she's taking the big L.
Oh, wait. But here's the thing, John, and people, she's Atlanta-based, right? But she actually can't stand the Falcons. She's a Broncos fan because her parents grew up in Colorado.
See, now I did not know that.
It doesn't make it better because they both stink, so we have a lot of fun with it.
There you go. Good
Kevin,
job.
you're the man.
Thanks, Kev.
But please, from one L to another, just give me a game. I need John. I don't need you to answer the question. I just need John to answer the question.
Okay. You know what? We'll make this a layup. October 20th, G-Men on the road, John. Come on.
That would be an Eagles revenge win.
All right, boom, I got one.
Out of respect for Kevin Negandhi.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kev.
Appreciate you.
We'll talk to you next week. There's Kevin Negandhi on the Comcast Business Hotline, even though I've already had the division.
See, you already had that.
All right, let's see.
Love that.
See, I'm looking at the schedule. So you told me biggest winning streak that they will go on is 5.
Could be 5.
Could be 5.
Possible 5.
And the biggest losing streak is possibly 2.
Correct.
And I think
there's no question they're not how about this? They are not losing 3 games in a row.
Okay. I think I see on the schedule where those 2 games are.
Okay. You could. I may even verify. I may even play along enough to say to you, that's a great guess on your part when I'm looking at the schedule where I think the 2 losses could come.
Is that guess Rams-Ravens?
Yes. That could be it.
Interesting.
Rams-Ravens could be the...
Yes. 10-second pause.
That could be it. No, Rams-Ravens. Rams-Ravens. How about this? Rams-Ravens is the first one that I looked at as back-to-back loss potential.
Okay.
How many more games do you need, Andrew?
He's doing pretty good.
Yeah, but we're running out of a little bit of time here.
So I have...
That's my idea.
So I have 6, but I think I have one already. Because, again, the max winning streak of 5 was a big tip for
When do we handcuff him to a chair?
Look.
Well, like I said, 9:30, he's going to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
He's
So
going to tell me. Yes.
I have really not much time left to try to figure this out.
And by the way, to be a kind partner, because Andrew has done such a great job today of finding creative ways to discuss this, which should tell all sports radio hosts, you don't have to mail in your job. You can create fun content. I would say that I will give Andrew a number. If he gets it right, I will confirm that he's gotten it right.
Okay. I do have another question for you.
Okay, another question.
Will Nick Sirianni remain undefeated after the bye? He's 3-0 in his career right now.
He will not.
Oh!
No. I'm sorry. But I just gave you an answer without answering it correctly.
Oh, okay.
You said, will Nick Sirianni remain undefeated after the bye? I thought you were talking about this season.
Oh. All right.
Okay?
Again, some of this is guessing.
But I jumped there, so I have to clarify it. I thought you meant, would he have a chance to go 5-0?
All right, I have 3 games left.
Okay, I say no. Okay, so there you go.
I have 3 games left, Connor.
All right.
You're very tactful. I will tell you that. I'll give you a lot of credit there.
Now, let me ask you one more question.
Okay.
Could the 5-game winning streak happen twice?
No. Absolutely not.
Huh. This is where I'm stumped.
Absolutely not.
They will not go on 2 5-game winning
remember,
streaks.
I didn't tell you that they could. I told you they could go on a 5-game winning streak. That would be my max that I could potentially see. How about this? I absolutely see a 4-game winning streak.
Okay. All right, last one.
Could be 5.
Last one, and then I think I have this schedule pinned out. And if you're just tuning in, John Kincade is anti-W's and L's.
Yes.
But today is the day where we react to the NFL schedule release. And so I need to get a record out of John Kincade today. And I think I've done I am sweating right now because I've almost finished
I think you've almost defused the bomb.
If you travel with Philly Sports Trips.
And I love traveling with Philly Sports Trips.
Let's say you travel to New Orleans. Would you be happy coming home?
Well, it's New Orleans, bro.
Well, I probably wouldn't remember some of the trip because I do love New Orleans.
Would you be happy coming home? This pulse is way too long.
How
this
about
one's
this?
not even a
How about
question
this?
for me.
If I traveled with Philly, I'll give you this. If I traveled with Philly Sports Trips in the month of September, I have a feeling one of those trips I would be coming home not happy.
Wow.
Okay?
All right, so
I
then
told
I got
you that.
All right.
So that's what I'm saying to you is I have a feeling that I would come home from one of those trips unhappy.
All right, I think I have his record.
Okay.
Connor,
good luck.
I think I have his record, and we will go through this coming up next. And then, Connor, you and I are going to give our wins and losses because we have to do W's and L's at some point today.
17-0.
Absolutely. But I have John Kincaid's record in front of me.
You think you do?
And he will let me know if it is correct or not.
I will confirm it if it's correct. That is correct.
Well, you'll also deny it if it's incorrect.
No, I won't. I will deny it if it's incorrect. Then you'll sort of be able to figure out where I'm at.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Coming up next, I'm gonna break this down. Man, I feel like I'm figuring out. I feel like I'm in the CIA right now, trying to get John Kincaid's wins and losses.
Don't cut yourself that much slack.
Yeah, exactly. But Connor and I are going to give our wins and losses coming your way next. It's been a lot of fun today. I also want to revisit the Phillies conversation. Would love to read some of your texts. You can text the show at 610-632-0975. And oh, by the way, we have one more gift card to give away. The $50 Wendy's gift card. Not doing it right now, but at some point next segment, we'll do the call to action. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. we'll give away our fourth and final $50 Wendy's gift card. That's an incredible
Okay,
number.
50's great.
50's great. That's multiple trips.
That's like 7 visits for Ricky Bo.
How many burritos could you get with that?
That's a great question. I don't know what the burrito
I'd
fee
imagine
is,
it's close to
but
8
that's
or
a
9.
great freaking burrito, man.
By the way, watching you two eat the Wendy's breakfast burritos, like those are gigantic in your hand.
Yeah, and we eat them in like 2 minutes.
No, but I'm gonna tell you that I think if you're talking about value, the Wendy's breakfast burrito looks like you're getting the biggest bang.
I thought you were going to call me Kenny Pickett small hands.
You do have small hands.
Oh, come on.
You'd be a great burrito hand model because everything would look huge.
By the way,
I'm leaving that one big.
Let me see the front of your hands. No, the front.
Front.
Oh, there. Okay, he could be a hand model because, unlike most men, he does not have hair in his hands.
I don't have hair in my hands.
So he could be a hand model.
I don't. But they.
You cannot be.
I didn't know that was a
You
requirement.
cannot be. You're not going to be a hand model if you have hair in your hands.
How about that, Con? You learn something new every day on Kincade.
I'll file that one away for never.
Plus, you have less. I can tell you this from 23andMe. You have less Neanderthal in you than I do.
I didn't need 23andMe to figure that out, John.
Less Neanderthal, man.
Because Neanderthal, it tells you how much Neanderthal DNA you, and one of them is hair on your knuckles, hair on your fingers, the segment of your fingers. If you don't have hair on that, you have less Neanderthal.
You just can't really see it.
No, you have less Neanderthal.
I have less Neanderthal. How about that?
Not from what I've seen.
I have more Lithuanian than you guys.
Well, you are. You are.
All right. So if you're just tuning in, today is a typical W's and L's day in Sports Talk Radio.
Yes.
John is anti-W's and L's, and as this is Kincade and Salciunas, I can't just hijack the show and do W's and L's.
But I also, as a good partner, have to cooperate with what we're trying to accomplish today. And you've done this is the most creative approach I've ever seen.
Now, the funny thing is I haven't even given you any wins or losses.
You haven't?
The whole show.
No,
it's
you
been
haven't.
3.5 hours. I haven't given you a single one except Carolina. I just said that they were going to beat the Panthers. Like, to me, that's a lock, right? So I have in front of me what I believe is John Kincaid's W's and L's if he were to do them. I've been setting up traps throughout the entire show. And I did have you give a specific answer to
Dylan.
Well, no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't set that up.
So I made you give the answer about the Falcons game because of your Atlanta ties from your 20 years of radio down there,
And I
you
love
gave
watching them lose.
you gave the Eagles a W.
Oh, that's not even a joke.
I made Kevin Negandhi ask you a specific game, and he asked you the Giants game on October 10th, or 20th, in which you gave a W.
Yes.
During the commercial break, I had to change what I thought was his wins and losses.
Okay.
Because Dylan McKinnon, who does a tremendous job with everything behind the scenes here at 97.5 The Fanatic, also does, like if you follow us on Instagram, which you should, if you don't, Dylan asks us like daily questions, and he puts together a video of us answering daily questions.
Excellent job at that.
And Dylan asked you for the win or loss for the Week 1 matchup. And I had you pinned as a loss against the Packers in Sao Paulo.
And an interesting question to me is that but I had already given an answer that should have given you an answer about the first 4 games. You know the answer to Week 2 because I already gave it.
Yes.
They're going to stomp the Falcons. And then I already gave you an answer about if I traveled with our friends from Philly Sports Trips in the month of September, that one of those trips I wouldn't come back happy.
Week 1 is in the month of September, and you're traveling. Even though it is a home game.
I didn't think about that. See, I didn't think about that.
That's why I pinned that one as a loss.
Okay.
But Dylan asked John, Week 1, win or loss, and John said win.
Yep.
So that made me change, because even though it's a home game,
I got you.
they are traveling to
never
Sao
thought
Paulo.
about that.
Because I may have them as an L for Week 1. All right. So I have you as W for the Packers. 1-0 start. W for the Falcons, which I know because you straight up said it.
Falcons.
2-0. Now, I don't know which one.
Okay, so
but
just say
clearly
one of
you're
them.
losing. They're losing either the Saints or the Buccaneers game via your prediction.
So you're saying that I'll be 3-1 at that point. That I'll
You're
be
going to be
thinking
3-1 going into the bye.
All right.
You said that Nick Sirianni will remain undefeated following the bye week.
No,
He's
I said
3-0.
No, I said
No,
I
in
didn't
his
answer
career.
the question. No, I didn't answer that question.
Yes, you
because
did.
because I said to you that it wouldn't be. I thought you meant would they be 5-0, and I answered honestly and said they will not be 5-0.
But then I asked the follow-up question. I'm pretty sure you said
No,
yes.
I didn't. No,
I think you said yes.
No,
I think he said yes.
No,
He
we
said
can pull
yes.
the tape and get
Go
you
on, check
saying
the
yes
tape.
clearly because
okay,
you said yes.
but then again,
All right.
You could
so
be right.
he
You could be
remains
right.
in his career as a. Again, I had all these traps.
Okay.
Nick Sirianni remains undefeated in his career following a bye week. So
Okay.
that puts you at 4-1.
All right.
Through 5 weeks.
I told you the Giants.
You told
Kevin
us the
Negandhi.
Giants 5-1. I am guessing. This is a straight up guess. But I know how highly you think of Joe Burrow. I jotted down an L for John Kincade against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Monsignor Citino would be pissed if I would lie to you. So I will say that is an assumed loss, yes.
All right. 5-2. I believe that the Jaguars will be a victory, and here's why. You already told me that there's probably 1 2-game losing streak, and you did agree that Rams-Ravens makes the most sense.
Was the most likely, yes.
So I don't think you would have Bengals-Jags as the 2-game losing streak.
Okay.
So that would put them at 6-2. You told me that they split with the Cowboys, and out of solidarity to the show, you're going to give me the W at home toward the end of the season. So that means 6-3 with an L in Dallas. Victory against the Commanders on Thursday night, but that's the interesting one because you think that could be wishy-washy.
I think it could be the biggest
one.
trap game.
Yes. That could be a tough one, but for the sake of the conversation, I will put them at 7-3. But then here's the 2-game losing streak, Rams-Ravens, that drops them to 7-5 all of a sudden, which is scary. But you told me that the largest winning streak the Eagles will have this season, if they have it, would be 5, which means Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. 5 W's, which would put them at 12-5 on the season. How close am I to maybe being correct about John Kincaid's wins and losses in 3 hours and 36 minutes of a radio program?
You won both showcases. You hit it right on the nose.
Proud of you, kid.
That's pretty
hit
good.
It right on the nose.
That's pretty good.
You did it without playing the trite game that you did.
Yeah.
There you go.
12-5 is John Kincaid's record. We will put this in a we'll seal it. I'm actually gonna frame this sheet of paper, I think, and put it on my mantle.
At the Bucks.
At the Bucks.
At the Bucks. At the Bengals. At the Cowboys. At the Rams. At the Ravens.
So all 5 losses on the road.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, why the Bucks? Because I knew you weren't going to say Saints. There's no way they lose that Saints.
I think there's going to be a problem with the Bucks game. I think it's a brutal start to the season, by the way.
Really?
I think that's brutal. 4 conference games to start the season. I think it's a brutal start. They'll be 3-1 after that. Is why if they lose to the Packers, I'll tell you right now, if they lose to the Packers in the opening week, as long as they play well and don't look like dogs, they'll be 3-1.
Okay.
They're 3-1 going into the bye, whatever way it happens. I think they lose either Saints or Bucks, and I think the Saints is a dangerous place to play, no matter how much the Saints potentially could suck. I think it's a dangerous place to play. They'll be 3-1 going into the bye.
Okay.
So there you go. You did a great job, and you did a great job of keeping it interesting and good conversation.
I have them at 12-5 as well, Connor.
Okay.
What is your record?
I have them at 13-4.
All right.
What game do you not have them losing that I have them losing?
I have different games throughout.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I don't have them losing in the first.
Who are your
we got 3 minutes. We can quickly
Who are
go
your
through
losses?
They don't lose until they play Cincinnati. Look at the past 2 years, the way this team has started.
Okay.
They start hot all the time. Then they beat Jacksonville. That loss to the Cowboys on the road, I think, is assumed by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have them losing to the Ravens on the road, and then I have them losing the Washington game on the road. Jaden Daniels kind of scares me.
I think he's going to be a good quarterback.
I don't
know that he's going to be great early. But
yeah, I don't think he'll be good enough for that team to do anything. But he strikes me as he's going to be tricky for the games that you match up with him. So I have them splitting with the Commanders. The only losses, though, I have on the road to the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Commanders. I have them undefeated at home as well.
Interesting. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I did not. I chicken scratch. 13-4. Not to, I actually.
Yes.
It looked like it said L for me against the Commanders. I do not have them losing to the Commanders this year. I have them at 13-4.
So you both go 13. I go 12.
However, the game that I'm differing from both you, I have them losing week 1, as of right now on May 16th.
Can you give me just sort of a reason why you
I think the Packers will be a good team this year, and I think it's a tough start to the season in Sao Paulo. But I think they come back and take care of business, and then they're 3-1 at the bye, just like we all have them. Well, you have them 4-0. You and I both have them at 3-1.
Okay.
I have them losing the Packers, and I think we end up freaking out that game was not at the link.
Why already?
Which is something that you're already upset about.
Kevin Negandhi and I did not discuss that beforehand.
Yeah.
And I agree with him totally, and I've said it on the air. I think it sucks that the biggest game on your home schedule is being played on a neutral site, and you volunteered to do it.
And I think we will end up potentially freaking out about that.
Could be.
Now, I say 13-4. The one game that I changed last second, I had 12-5. I increased it to 13-4. That Rams game will scare me. Going out west.
It should.
Nakua and Kupp against a young secondary. The secondary was really bad for the Eagles last year, and now they're young and inexperienced. At least it's deeper into the season, so that might help them, which is why I edged it up to 13, but I originally had that as a loss.
I don't think that team's that good.
The Rams?
Yes.
Aaron Donald's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their defense is just not that good.
That means the Eagles' offense has to be clicking at that point.
Well, they better be with all the weapons they have.
Yeah, they better be. So I have them at 13-4. But I did originally have them 12-5. I moved it up to a game.
Here's the problem is, I would say 13. You better be 13 if you want the number 1 seed. 12 is not going to cut it. So you got to be 13 because I think the Packers are going to push for 13.
And if they win week 1.
I think the 49ers are going to push for 13. Got to be careful.
All right. Well, there it is. I got it. 12-5. And I was spot on.
You did well. You did really well, I will tell you.
The FBI needs people.
They need you.
They have a good benefits program. Coming up next are Kincade and Salciunas Key 3.
A better one? I don't know.
Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. And then our crossover with Bob Cooney coming your way next on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
The real and inside story on the Phillies is on.
97.5 The Fanatic. Did I give away that last Wendy's gift card?
No.
Oh, I didn't. All right. Give me a number, Connor.
I thought he had.
No, because you gave him 13, and then we didn't do any after that.
Give me a number.
2.
Call number 2 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. 215-263-0975 wins our final $50 Wendy's gift card. Right now, Wendy's, kickstart your morning with the new breakfast burrito with loads of bacon, seasoned potatoes, fresh cracked eggs, and more. It's a complete breakfast in one hand, only at participating U.S. Wendy's. We have our crossover with Bob Cooney coming up, but right now, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
What a beautiful day today, man.
Oh, it was nice this morning. Windows down a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about the weather?
Nice. Yeah, I'm just feeling good.
I'm talking about W's and L's Day, baby. We made it. We have made it to W's and L's Day. What's your record?
I haven't done my homework, and that's something that I usually always did.
But I have a very difficult task today. I am going to try and get John's W's and L's throughout the course of the show without doing the W's and L's segment.
Ooh, okay. Good luck.
That is I do have cash in the envelope, in the wallet that says you won't be able to succeed, but that's good.
Do high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment of the season? For me, it helps. It skyrockets it. You know why? I have high expectations because my team's good. And if my team is good, that means odds are I'm enjoying myself more often than not.
But I also think part of it with you, we have the same exact feeling about it.
Yes, which is odd.
But part of it with you is I believe you are 15-year-old Andrew trapped in 30-year-old Andrew's body.
With a 45 or 60-year-old brain.
Yes, you are a young kid fan, energy, excitement, dreaming big, trapped in your body.
Let me ask you this first question based off of the schedule release. What is the game that you are most looking forward to?
At the Bengals, the last Sunday in October.
So that's the game that you're most looking forward to?
Yes. I'm fascinated by Joe Burrow.
Oh, me too.
I think Joe Burrow I think he has the potential to be a great NFL quarterback. And to me, I would love to see that.
You said this yesterday that it was the Bengals. Had anything to do with the time and place?
I like it even more the way it works out. I love the way it works out.
Okay, now what's the game you're least looking for?
Mine would be December 8th versus the Panthers. Because I would take it as, I think the Panthers are going to absolutely suck, and I think the Eagles might need a breather at that point.
From ESPN, and of course, Temple Made, Temple Proud does a tremendous job at everything that he does. The great Kevin Negandhi.
The biggest storyline, I think, all season will be Jalen Hurts. Who shows up? Do we have Jalen Hurts from 2022 under Shane Steichen? Do we have Jalen Hurts from 2023 under Nick Sirianni?
The game that I'm most looking forward to
is,
and I know this sounds chalky, but you'll understand why. It's Week 17 Eagles-Cowboys. But there's a reason why.
Okay.
What was the prediction I made last week? The very chesty prediction that I made.
Eagles win the division at the end by 2
comfortable
or 3 games.
That game might be the one that wins it. If you're up 2 and you lose, all right, you only have a 1-game lead and Week 18 matters. You win that game, you're up 3. Great. And it's at home. Connor Thomas.
Hello. Hi, Connor.
Do high expectations for the teams help or hurt your enjoyment of the regular season?
I think you guys both already know the answer from me. Oh, it very much helps.
Because you like winning. You just like winning.
Dude, I love to win. There's nothing I love more than winning.
He's another one, though. I didn't know 14-year-old Connor, but I met him. I've met him a lot of times. I think you have that same just young kid's enthusiasm for this is so freaking awesome. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
But that's also the nature of how we've come up with Philadelphia sports. We've had a lot more good than bad. Andy and I have.
Yes,
absolutely.
So when I see this, I think of the good. I think of the possibilities. I think of what this opens the door to. This isn't just like, and specifically talking about this Philly season, this isn't just, they had a hot start. I think, wow, where did they go in 2022 when they started off like crap? They went to the World Series. Last year, they stunk for the first month and a half. They went to the NLCS. This year, this start, the sky is the limit, and I get excited about that. And I'm not going to let my whole summer go by waiting for October.
And we are joined by the man from Inside the Birds and, of course, 97.5 The Fanatic. Andrew Pacheco joins us.
Well, the one I'm most looking forward to is Eagles-Bengals. I have high expectations for the Bengals this year. Traveling to Cincinnati and playing them at 425, especially if Joe Burrow is healthy, obviously, is going to be a really good litmus test to see where the Eagles are, and that's at Week 8.
For me, it's, damn, I have seen so much bad in my life.
Right.
I am going to freaking celebrate it when it's great. I'm going to celebrate it when it's great. I'm not going to worry about that the floor is going to fall out from under me because I have seen so many crappy seasons. I better celebrate the great ones.
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show. And now it's time for the incredible 3 minutes with Bob Cooney.
That's what
Is that what time?
What's going on, boys? How are we today?
Also known as honeymoon.
What's up, Bobby?
Everything good?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you hear my investigative research?
I heard you
got
trying.
his record.
You did a good job.
He told me I was spot on.
You did a good job. Yeah, you did.
John Kincade.
So for not doing wins and losses, he did wins and losses.
John
But he found a creative way to not do it, which was great.
John Kincade has the Eagles going 12-5. His 5 losses: Tampa, Cincinnati, Dallas, the first one in Dallas, Rams, Ravens. All 5 games, road games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How about that?
I think the end of the season
So
is
undefeated at Lincoln Financial Field.
Beautiful track at the end of the season.
6 1:00 games. I love that with the possibility of a 7th because you don't know about that Giants game. I do. I like.
I'm pro 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I just think normalcy is something that this team was missing a little bit last
That's
year.
what Connor said earlier. The
Oh, is that right?
consistency
Yeah.
of the schedule.
You change your opinion?
I
now
would
that
say
Connor
great
had it?
minds, but I don't have my headphones,
screw you,
Connor, so don't
Bobby.
say anything. Yeah, it was funny. I walked in today, and one of the kids out there is like, "So what do you think?" And I go, 7. Oh, it might have been Connor. I said, "Yeah, they're playing 17 games.
That's
8 of them are home, 8 are on the road, and there's 1 in Brazil. It's just exactly what we thought." But, yeah, we'll look all at it. Bill Colarulo's joining us today. Some interesting things, likes, dislikes, we're going to go over that. Also, I heard you guys doing a little bit. I want to dive a little deeper into, like, what Dallas's schedule looks like and what the Rams.
They have the gauntlet. They have a G word, man.
Yeah, so it'll be cool.
They have a worse schedule layout, but the Eagles have the worst opponents, the way it lines up.
You worked with John for how long?
3 years.
2.
No, 3
Long.
years.
No, 3. Yeah, like 3.5 years, right, John?
Yeah.
The Excel spreadsheet is.
He's got a spreadsheet?
You know I have the spreadsheet of the
schedules.
schedules. You know my schedules for like the. I got
Dude, it's psychotic. It's
like everything.
It's scary, dude.
That's
There you
cool.
go.
Good for
Here's-
him.
here's the
if
NFC.
it works for him.
Here you go.
No,
Here's the
if it
NFC.
works, but like
Already
you,
made.
What's your saying, John? Don't yuck somebody's yum.
Yeah, don't
I'm
yuck
not
somebody's
yucking
yum.
your
Hey,
yum,
look,
John.
There's the NFC. There's
Oh,
the.
Look, there it is, Andrew.
He's not yucking my yum, Andrew.
He's got on there last time he got his oil changed. How many miles per gallon he got last week?
That's incredible. Bobby, we'll be listening, man.
You guys
Thank
are the best.
No, we aren't.
No, we're
Let's
definitely
be
not.
honest. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, Paul B. Moyer and Sons, and make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Heading off to Dr. Sprandio's for my 6-month appointment.
You go get him, Johnny.
Hopefully it'll go well.
It will. How about that? We'll be back
It's a
at
way
it.
to look at it.
We'll be back at it tomorrow for a Fanatic Football Friday. We have a lot more in store for you. Can't wait. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Bob Cooney and Bill